Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the City of Fraser regular council meeting for this Thursday, July 13th, 2023, at 6:32 p.m. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Cindy, would you please do a roll call?
Councilmember Bransky.
Present.
Councilmember Blanky. Mayor Gardner.
Here.
Councilmember Polka.
Here.
Councilmember Odell.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Jordan.
Present.
Councilmember Sutherland.
Present.
I'd like to make a motion to excuse Ms. Blanky tonight.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. At this time, I do have one amendment to the agenda. It will be, we'll make it under new business, item O, for the property and liability insurance renewal.
Second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments and questions from the audience? Back at council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Motion carries. Mr. Denault.
Mr. Mayor, we have one just minor adjustment to the agenda. Under item 12, closed session A, the technical language should be to discuss an attorney-client privilege communication. It's a discussion of a legal opinion letter, not any sort of pending litigation. I don't want to mislead anybody with the wording, so if we could just change it to that, we'll be all set.
And you're changing it to,
It'll be changed to discussion with legal counsel regarding attorney-client privilege communication.
okay.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to reflect the terms as identified by Mr. Renault.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Anybody else? Anything else? I see none. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make a motion. Oh, sorry.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, citizen participation. That's on the agenda items only. If you cannot stay for the entirety of the meeting, if you'd like to comment on one of the agenda items, we'll be glad to give you the floor for 4 or 5 minutes. Anybody? I see none. I'll bring it back. Consent agenda. Mr. Odell.
Second.
We have a motion, and then we have a second. Any comments or questions on the motion? Any comments, questions from council? I see none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7, new business, water main replacement project update, Winsome Airport. Mike, I believe you're going to handle this.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. We're here tonight to provide an update on some of the restoration work that's going on in conjunction with the water main project. I know Winsome and Airport were on the agenda, but Spring Court was another street that was included in this year's water main program and is in a similar condition. Last time when we were here, I believe there was a resident that came forward and expressed some concerns about her property in particular. And in that, since in the month that's transpired, we've been certainly addressing all of her concerns individually. but the global concerns as well about the condition of the restoration on those streets. And I think that's kind of where a lot of the discussion will be coming tonight. We have, I think, provided a number of notices to the residents, one on the 8th of June, and then 2 more at the end of June, the 23rd and the 30th, that addressed our current position of the restoration is not acceptable. It has not been accepted, and the contractor has not received full payment for this work. So until those conditions are met, the conditions of the contract, that state will remain. So we like to just, I guess, reassure everyone that until those conditions are met, we are going to continue to hold the contractor's feet to the fire to see some progress. In the last month, the weather conditions have certainly been more favorable. May was an unseasonably dry month, almost 2 inches less rain than on an average May. And we've had more favorable growing conditions since then. The contractor has mowed the weeds on several occasions and recently applied a broadleaf weed pesticide or herbicide to eliminate those. This is going to be an ongoing process for a little while longer, and we've been asking, the residents in the city to remain patient until to allow the contractor to exhaust the options that are available to them to address the concerns that we all have. Yeah, again, it isn't acceptable. It hasn't been accepted. They haven't been paid for the work to date. So,
Just one question on that, Mike. Is it the amount that you're holding back, is it enough to cover if things have to be done by ourselves or something that they're not going to just walk away from?
yeah, so in addition to not paying the contractors, it's a 2-step process to receive payment. Once on placement, and then the second half of their payment is on acceptance. In addition to that, we are withholding retainage on the entire contract. So we follow state law in regard to that, which essentially results in 5% of the contract amount being withheld until the project has reached an acceptable condition. We're currently holding $80,000 in change, which is more than enough to address any issues.
Okay, good. Got lots of lights. Mayor Pro Tem Shornack.
Okay, so with regards to that, because several of us went over there and spoke with Ms. Lentz and saw her thing. A little unnerved that she's literally the only one that's come forward considering all the issues that both those streets have been having. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, yep, I see. My bad. I'm very surprised that no other residents have come forward, and I really wish they would, because we don't know if people don't come forward, and so I'm grateful to Ms. Lentz for coming forward and letting us know all these problems. I guess my question is, I know that the one sidewalk where, when you're crossing, I sent you guys that email. I mean, there's plastic underneath it. It's already cracking. It's already deteriorating. That should be fixed. I know that part of the street right by her house. I know that street wasn't broken before because I ride my bike through my neighborhood and then that neighborhood a lot. And I know where I have to avoid. So, is that going to be repaired? I know the one neighbor, they put brick pavers down when he had cement there, and why they thought that would be appropriate is beyond me. I know Ms. Lentz, her ground is not even level, and then I know the one that's on Slumber Lane, because I know you guys had to do work at that one gentleman's house across the street. Nothing was even done to his house. So has any of that been addressed?
Where would you like me to start?
You can just go in order, I guess.
Yeah, so the concrete, the ADA ramp that we call that, we did look at that, and when those detectable warning plates come on site, there's a plastic covering over the surface so that when they push them into the concrete and finish it, you can pull the plastic off at the end, and it remains ADA compliant. There's real strict federal regulations on that. So it's just a matter of taking a
X-Acto knife.
around, right?
But-
it's on the.
But that's kind of, I don't mean to swear, so I'm going to get bent about it, but that's a half-assed job. Like, how did they not pull it out when they were putting it down? I guess this is my biggest problem about the whole thing. These are professionals that you guys brought to us. These are people I don't know if we've necessarily used them in the city before, but you guys have used them before. Why all of a sudden have they gone from being somebody that you highly recommend to somebody I wouldn't tell my worst enemy about? Like, why is that going on with them? Why are they not living up to their end of the contract? And why are they not doing everything that they said they were going to provide in that contract, like the watering regularly, the seeding, the correct seeding, and not doing it and then watering it away? I mean, why are they acting like this? Why are they? I hope to God you never bring these people to the city again, because no matter what, I will always be in quote unquote the cheap seats, as a lot of people like to call them. And if I ever hear that company's name again, I'm going to be like, no, I will put up a big fight about it, because we've paid them a significant amount of money to do right by our citizens and right by our city. And I just feel like they have not lived up to their end of this.
Okay. And yeah, I would reiterate, we have not closed out the contract. They still have items to address. And we're going to continue.
Well, what's the timeline then? What is like their drop dead date that they have to have things restored to the way they were prior to them being there?
Yeah, the grass is going to be an ongoing issue that we're going to continue staying. So there's some concrete that we know needs to be repaired, and that's going to be done next week. And then after that, the restoration contractor's going to come in. They have to backfill and seed those areas again. So we anticipate next week there's going to be some more activity related to that on the site. And they like to come in and do kind of things in bunches. So while they're out there, they're going to be addressing the other issues.
So if a resident from either of those streets were here right now and said, when can I expect everything to be done and life to kind of go back to what it was before all this, what would we tell them?
I unfortunately don't have a great answer for you because I can't predict the grass situation.
Well, no, I realize, they realize grass grows when it grows. That's not my point. I'm saying like where it's leveled the correct way, angled the correct way that it was before, that it's at least there. It's not all weeds.
Hopefully by the end of the month.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Are we I'm not asking for a guarantee. I'm asking if you had to give an estimation of time. If we were to say by the end of August, life should be status quo, everything should be cleaned up, everything should be restored in a perfect world. Would that be an accurate statement?
I mean, I would certainly hope so, but I
I know you can't guarantee it. I'm just asking. If you have an estimate.
Trust me, they want to be done with this
Fraser?
contract. Not necessarily with Fraser, but we're holding a significant amount of their money, right? They want to get paid. They want to be done. So there's certain things that need to happen for them to meet their obligations of the contract, and do that as quickly as possible. They've got other work that they need to do as well. It's more cost effective for them to come in and do all these issues at one time, and we hope it's going to be next week.
Okay.
Can I add to that for just a second?
Yep.
I'm Scott Lockwood from Anderson, Exine, and Westrick. So to give you an idea on the restoration, I mean, when I went out and met Ms. Lentz on June 12th, and I would say the restoration, plus or minus, some yards are a lot different than others, but was probably around 15% established, I would guess. A lot of weeds, obviously, but fair amount of grass had not really started to take yet. I'd say as of today, it's probably on the order of 50 to 60%. And again, there's still a lot of weeds, but they applied a weed killer, I think, 2 days ago. So I anticipate it's going to continue at that rate. Now, granted, we're all obviously have a disclaimer when it comes to growing grass. But I certainly believe by the end of August, as long as there's relatively decent growing conditions, that we're probably going to be, if we don't accept it by then, I'd be really surprised.
Well, but that goes back to my other question, though. It's not just the grass not being there. It's that it's not level. It's not appropriately leveled down. Like, because her lawn, you can see, it goes kind of like on an angle down. And where they,
I believe it has been since.
that's been addressed?
When I went out there on June 12th, we talked about all of those things. And I believe, and I've been in communication with Ms. Lentz herself, that everything is pretty, let's say, close. I can't speak for her, but I have been in touch with her and just said, do things look as you would anticipate now? I'm not sure those are the exact words, but it's close.
Right. Believe me, we'll follow up with her.
Right. Oh, I understand. So I think that more or less everything has been done with the exception of trying to get grass to grow. And it's doing one heck of a lot better than it was before. And, I mean, the concrete elements, other than cleaning off that plate, I mean, I don't think there's any issue with the concrete that's been poured. We've got all the geotechnical testing. We were out there and measured all the thicknesses and everything have been met. There's strengths have all been met. I think you had inquired about the geotechnical reports, and we provided them. It's beyond the strength required. There's one, I think there's, what, 2 flags of sidewalk that need to be placed yet, which are just 2 small squares of sidewalk. Her drive approach was one of the big, huge issues, and we put that drive approach back in larger than it was when we started, and we did not think that was going to be an issue. Usually people prefer their drive approach larger. There's basically 2 parameters when you're putting a drive approach back in. Basically meet the existing drive at the top of the sidewalk, and then have 2-foot flares, and then have 2-foot flares. Well, we didn't take out, initially we hadn't taken out the road on Winsome. So we met it at the top, but since we didn't take out the road, there wasn't a curb drop, so we just met it at the bottom. So we acknowledged that, okay, we should have made sure that's what Mrs. Lentz wanted before we replaced it, even though we thought we're giving her more concrete, we're making her drive approach bigger. That's probably what was desired, but probably doesn't cut it, right? So we, AEW, paid to have it replaced. We got the contractor, actually the same concrete contractor that did City Hall here, and replaced that piece of driveway, just to acknowledge that that's pretty much on us. The contractor did as we marked it out.
Okay.
So, and that's been replaced, and I've asked Ms. Lentz, since it went back in, is that exactly what she wanted? And again, I'm not going to put words in her mouth, but I'm pretty sure she's happy.
As long
with
as
that
she is
piece of
happy.
concrete.
Yeah, I believe she was satisfied with the
Yeah.
driveway stuff, yes.
So, and then the other elements, the street, that's pretty tough. The contractor's got to be able to put equipment on the street. And I do believe it has probably cracked, but that street was in poor condition when we started.
Oh, no, it was lifted,
There's
but
absolutely no evidence that the contractor brought in anything heavier than allowable limits or did anything like, dropped a hammer or anything like that on the road. So it's pretty hard to go after them for damaging a street and, unless they did something that is kind of outside of the normal operation of excavation contractor. That one's pretty tough, the street part of it is, because as you know, the street right there is,
not great.
it's in disrepair,
Like most of our streets, yes.
unfortunately. So I guess the most difficult part of this is restoration. You ask any municipal engineer, and what is the most difficult part of a local road project, I can almost guarantee you all of them will say the restoration, because that's what people care about, quite frankly, right? I mean, they don't care about.
All that and not seeing the orange barrels anymore.
Yeah, and they're not elated about the new 8-inch water main that was installed or the concrete sidewalk that was replaced that was already there. They care about the grass, and that's what we all care about. The tricky part is what to do about that. We try as hard as we can to make sure the restoration is going to take, it's going to take fast, and that it's going to be there to stay. So the other option, basically, other than what we've done, is to consider sod. There's 2 things with sod. A, it costs a lot more, which is a significant consideration. But B, is it's not nearly as hardy as the grass that grows right there. And so oftentimes what happens is, if we ever sod a job, we get it to a point where it's rooted, and then we send a letter to all the residents and say, okay, the contractor has fulfilled his obligation, the sod is now yours. If they don't have irrigation on that green belt, and it gets dry, even within the next year and a half.
Oh, no, I know,
that
I've
sod
seen it, yeah.
will pass away. And regardless of the letter they got, that doesn't matter.
Right.
Everybody gets upset about it. So we've been very reluctant to use sod, particularly in areas where most of the green space is not irrigated. But that's an option if the council would like to go that way. The nice thing about that is it looks 100% acceptable the day it goes down. You know what I mean? Versus having to wait, having to deal with drought conditions, and it was super hot in May, for a May. This restoration struggle is not unique to this project, unfortunately, particularly with this weather.
Oh, thank you.
Councilwoman Sutherland.
So I know that you can't guarantee a timeline, but if it's not fixed, some of the things the contractor are going to work on, do you have, or can you ask them to provide a timeline by our next meeting? I mean, I think that that would be fair. They don't have to promise, but just in general, a timeline of when it's going to be completed, right? That would give an additional month.
Everything not related to the grass growing will be done. It's pretty much already done, with the
Okay.
exception of a couple pieces of concrete.
Okay, and then the only other thing that I wanted to bring up from when I was at Miss Lenz's house, because a lot of us have gone to visit her, is, so as far as the crack in the street and having equipment there, that's where the cement trucks parked and cleaned the drum, or whatever it's called. So like the curb and the street, right at that corner of Winsome and Slumber Lane, is just coated in chunks of concrete. So, I mean, I don't know if that's something that's part of it as well. She told me she could live with it, but it looks terrible. I mean, there are big chunks of concrete just stuck.
It's actually gotten better from that.
I mean, it's,
Well, they're not supposed to clean the trucks by sewer.
Cleaned and swept, so.
Anyway,
Yeah, that's where they use their washout trailer, so in accordance with EPA requirements, they have to dump all the slurry into a trailer, and it
Yeah.
just,
yeah.
that's where.
So, I mean, but something that could maybe be done to remove or file that down, I don't know, to
I think it's been
make it look a
cleaned
little
since,
bit
but
better.
we can take another look at it.
Because otherwise, it's going to continue to chip away, and when that black mesh that's underneath the sewer grates is taken out, right, and over time, as it continues to chip away, it's going to continue to go down the sewer as well, right, which is a concern. So I wanted to bring that up as well.
We can definitely take a look at it and make sure it's addressed.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Odell.
So is the contractor, are they like owning up to this, that it wasn't acceptable? They know they got to do it, that there's no argument between the two, you guys and them, that it's supposed to be done right, correct?
That is correct, and, I mean, you know, Mike had sent the notice out on June 8th, and we had already indicated to all the residents that this was not acceptable. And the contractor had been, you know, they've got a water truck that they routinely water with, and they've been doing something pretty much every week, even before all this,
So-
you know, kind of came to council and the mayor.
Yeah, because I think the communication was the biggest obstacle from the beginning, is they weren't communicated with properly, starting the project, how long it was going to take, that type of thing. But I know there's a lot of variables there. Are they already on any future contracts with the city, this particular? Okay. And then finally, I know it's not relating to this directly, but Fraser Meadows subdivision, has all that patchwork been completed? Is that done, or is there still, 'cause it seems like French Creek and Hidden Pine have been done, but none of the other courts and things?
Yeah, so French Creek and Hidden Pine are done. We went south of Mulvey and worked on Pineview, Greenview, Farmview, and Farmview Court.
Okay.
We were anticipating how far we would get with the budget. We took just a quick pause. We think we've got enough to finish the remaining, like, deteriorated eyebrows and courts that are in real bad condition, and the remainder of the subs.
Because wasn't it for the whole subdivision? I didn't know it was like
The whole
up to a certain point,
subdivision,
and
yeah,
then
we had a couple of different options that were available, whether it was traditional joint seal or the joint repair that's been performed exclusively to date, or some of the larger areas we looked at possibly doing some just asphalt repairs there. We've kind of put those on hold, and we think we can get most of the joints done under the current contract amount with the.
Because I thought when we awarded it, it was, that covered it all no matter what, because they already went out and estimated it. So, I don't want a situation where we run out of money and the job's not done, that type of situation. That wouldn't happen here. You're saying they could run out of money and not finish that?
It'll be close, and if we think we've got a couple $1,000s to finish the job out, certainly we can come back to council and make that an option. With any construction contract, we structure the contract with our estimated quantities to do the work, and then as the contract unfolds, things happen, things change, and we have to adjust to the work that's done.
Okay.
Yeah, as I mentioned too, talking to the engineers on the ground there, it was worse than what they thought it was. Obviously.
I think if you're putting a bid out, you're going out and looking at it before you do the bid, because we had a situation on French Creek years, they filled in, I swear it was a quarter of French Creek with little rubber thing, and then they said they ran out of money, and, it's like, it was like, what happened? There was a sign, hey, it's getting repaired, and then it was laughable as a resident, so I don't want that situation to happen again. Thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Baranski.
Yeah, one thing I do want to convey, I coincidentally ran into someone who works in Candace Miller's office, who also is a resident there. And so the thing that we have to focus on, remediation is very important. But from the county's perspective, this project was perfect. They didn't have one issue with this contract or with the intent of the purchase. And I think that's important because anyone can have a sub that doesn't live up to expectations, which I'm guessing is what happened here. And I'm happy to hear they owned up to it. But the work itself, the sewer replacements and water mains and all the stuff, from the county's perspective, was one of the best jobs they've seen. So I wanted to convey that because that is important to know. And I'm happy to hear that they're remediating it or owning up to it and hopefully going to quickly get it to where our residents are happy because it was completely not acceptable. I have a question for you since you're here. I was going to ask Mr. Ragsdale, but Aaron, Admiral, can you give the residents an understanding of what we're doing over there and the timeline for it? Because people are freaking out that we're cutting down all the trees and we're tearing up the roads. And I said, I'm going to have the experts tell exactly what, when, where, how. So if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, there were 6 streets that were approved for water main replacement in the current budget cycle. So our team has started the engineering design process, which starts out with a topographic survey. So our surveyors were out a couple of weeks ago, picking up ground elevations, just getting all the design or the current features that are out there, trees, sidewalks, et cetera. I know they marked some of the manholes with numbers, and those are code for us so that we know where they're at. The kind of time frame for that project, I know Mark and I were just talking yesterday. There's one street that we want to push forward this season if we can. The remainder will probably be more of a late fall start into next season construction. We don't have any details to date on where the water main is going to be. Those are things that we'll work out through the design process. We have to figure out where everything's at before we can determine where it needs to be.
And I'm assuming as part and parcel of doing a job that would be acceptable to the residents, you're going to try to do minimal disruption to the existing landscaping and keeping the neighborhood in the like manner that it currently exists. The trees are gorgeous.
Trees are gorgeous. Yeah.
And so I know we have your commitment, but I just want them to hear that, just like you guys did Fruhoff and you did the sidewalk, what some people complained about, but you did that to maintain the neighborhood feel.
Yes.
And that would be the same intent with this project.
Yeah, as always, we'd like to leave things, as they are, as if we weren't there, but it's impossible to but certainly we're going to take all those environmental factors into consideration when we determine the method of construction and the location of the proposed water main.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And I have one question, Mike. Were they restoring all their equipment, the tires and trucks over on Hidden Pine in that Greenbelt area over there? They're going to bring that all back to its natural Greenbelt, and because there's a lot of liquid tar, dry tar.
Yeah, any areas that they use, they are responsible to maintain, and that does not cost the city any addition. That's just part of their work. So, yeah.
Okay,
Yep,
good.
we've got a few items, areas where they.
Yeah, okay, just want to make sure they're going to not forget that area over there. Councilwoman Kolka.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what the future is for the the work that was done on French Creek and Hidden Pine, because our neighbors, our subdivision is just up in arms with the way it looks aesthetically. And I agree, it looks terrible. And I just wonder if there's something else that can be done. I was under the impression that it would be the same color as the concrete, so it wouldn't look like a checkerboard. And so I'd like to explore that, because when you have like Fruhoff, we spent all that money, it looks amazing. We're spending all this money to make sure we put the residents back in the position they would, they were in before that we had all that other, all the other construction done. And now, Fraser Meadows North is like, now they're, it looks terrible. It looks absolutely terrible. And, you know, I'm super disappointed when I look, when I see it, but there's got to be something else we can do with it.
Yeah, that's a functional repair for roads that are intended to buy you a few more years until you can fund the improvements that's needed. You know, at this point, I was just running some numbers today. I think for the amount that was spent on French Creek in particular, you could have reconstructed about 200 feet of road.
I know. I know I know. I mean, we're between a rock and a hard place with what we do with it. And I don't think the residents really understand that, but from an aesthetic perspective, that's what they see. And so when they see things like Fruhoff, which looks beautiful, and then they see, you know, and I know Fruhoff was not for many, many, many years. I get that. But I'm just wondering if there's something else we can do from an aesthetic perspective. I don't know if it can be blacktopped, and I don't even know if that's the right answer.
Well, that actually is, I mean, that's the logical next step is to mill the entire surface and resurface everything. You fix the curbs that are broken, you may have to do some driveways and things like that. But if a road goes through a life cycle and it involves regular maintenance, preventative maintenance, rehabilitation, hopefully a couple cycles of rehabilitation before you have to reconstruct it. You know, French Creek was built in the early 1990s. It's at its, you know, starting to hit its design life in terms of that. So with minimal maintenance over the years, you're at a point where you're starting to get into the more expensive fixes. You know, we'd like to think that a project could be programmed that would involve milling out the entire surface and making it all asphalt.
What would something like that cost?
You're probably on the order of $1.5 to $2 million for French Creek.
Just for French Creek?
Just for French Creek.
Just
And-
that street, not all of it.
Just that street, that's correct. And if, French Creek, we all know, is designed as an industrial road, so it's a little bit thicker. So we've got a little bit more room to play with in terms of the amount that we can mill. You know, even if we were to mill out 4 inches and put 4 inches of asphalt back, you know, this is a 10 to 15-year fix before you're going to have to probably do something again. And within a few years after that, you'll start seeing some reflective cracking. It's just an ongoing cycle.
So sitting here today, there's really not anything additional that we could do to change the aesthetic appearance of that work that was done until or unless we actually go in there and do the milling that's going to cost, as you said, like $1.1 million just to do French Creek. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
You might be able to paint it.
Want to go paint it? Let's go paint it. Want to paint it blue?
I do,
Blue and gold for Fraser.
I do think though, you know, I don't know, it kind of looks like a NASCAR track, but just in some areas, they were just really sloppy with the tar and spillage, and I think that even makes it a little bit worse.
You know what, I'm
Needs to be a
sorry.
little bit more careful, that's all, too.
I do have a question. That's going to hold up when we have the first plow of the season, right? We're not going to end up with big, giant, you know, spaces that have been pulled up.
That was hot mix asphalt. It's the same thing they would put down on a road, and they rolled it the same as they would a road. The plows will not pull it out.
Okay.
They won't pull it out. They may catch it, and it'll just kind of shave a little edge off if there is an edge. But from what I've seen, it's been pretty tight tolerances on that.
This is much finer asphalt than is,
It's a
Just,
very-
you know, I'm just
I
relaying
believe Mark
messages.
sets the tracks, plows it, doesn't ride on cement, it actually rides above the.
I think the name of functional repair says it all.
Ain't no doubt about it.
It'll solve the problem even if it doesn't look good.
Yeah, no, we're doing the best we can with what we have, that's for sure.
Like a piece of gum.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Item B, the street update, Mulvey traffic and Grove traffic. Ms. Levin?
Well, I think with AEW here, they can probably be a part of this conversation. We've also got Director Kretschmar here. We have done actually 2 different traffic studies for both Grove and Mulvey. Both of those traffic studies were done. They really did not find that there was a significant amount of speeders on the street. So at this point, really, the recommendation from both parties is that there really isn't anything that needs to be done at this point in time. I know we've had some people asking about putting speed bumps in, things like that. There isn't anything extraordinary that's different from any other street throughout the city about patterns of traffic and speeds that are happening on these streets. To add to that, we did have a bit of a conversation talking about getting some of the speed type signs, and that's something that I think Sam is going to be researching and bringing at a future meeting. That's a little bit more about kind of self-awareness and hopefully slowing some people down. I think long-term with the road bond for roads and sidewalks, that's certainly something that, you know, we've had some conversations about sidewalks for Mulvey. That's something that could potentially be a part of that funding. So other than that, as I said, we have AEW here and we've got Sam here if you have any particular questions regarding any of that.
Councilwoman Baranski.
Yes, I do have a couple questions. So thank you both for doing the two different surveys or studies. There were some concerns that maybe the equipment wasn't out there long enough to get a representative sample of what is actually going on. If you could maybe speak to why you chose when you did it and kind of to confirm that in fact you as experts in these, both from the public safety and then the engineering perspective, feel that that was a representative sample of the traffic patterns. Does that make sense, what I'm asking?
One of these?
No, they both did their own, so you both have to justify it.
Well, I guess we could probably tackle this one a little bit concurrently. Most speed studies are conducted with engineers, police, as part of the team that performs it, and there's reason for that because we're looking at different things than police are often, and at the end of it, you come to a mutual conclusion, and that's the recommendation for that particular thing. There are standards set forth from the engineering side that dictate how many vehicles should be sampled in a certain amount of time to create a valid study. You want off-peak conditions ideally, so free-flow traffic. You're not looking at Utica Road at 6 o'clock at night because no one's driving the speed limit, right? Mm-hmm. So you want off-peak hours so that people can drive free-flow without it being influenced by other traffic. Those are the sample periods that we evaluated as part of our study. And we look at the 85th percentile speed, which is a statistical analysis of the entire data set to see, you want to make sure that at least 85% of the driving population is following the law, right? You're always going to have some outliers. That's going to happen no matter what you set the speed limit at. So that's the statistical number that we tend to look at. And then we also look at the 10-mile-an-hour pace speed. So there's a grouping around 10 miles an hour around the speed limit that you want to have a certain population of cars that are found in that population to consider it a reasonable speed limit.
And all of that was met with these studies?
So certainly what we did was a lot less informal than what AEW does because obviously they're the engineering firm and they have this equipment, they put these things out there and they took actually quite a long sample of traffic. What we did was much less than that, but we took a snapshot of what AEW had done and we recognized the busier times when there was extra traffic or busier traffic and had an officer sit out there with a laser in an unmarked car, very inconspicuous, for exact same date, exact same, not day of the week and time that AEW had done, and took the samples that way through the laser. And that's where we came up with our informal study. We sat down together, we looked at theirs, they looked at ours, and ultimately came to the conclusion that, of course, there's always going to be speeding. I mean, you have a car with a gas pedal that goes 100 miles an hour, you're going to get speeders. But the reality is what we had thought prior when we put our speed trailer out there and we put officers out there also monitoring traffic is, yes, there's going to be speeders here and there. And the belief was that, well, you've got a marked car or a marked motorcycle and a marked
officer in uniform, and so of course people are going to slow down when they see that. Well, we hope so. We really didn't get much of a difference between that. And so when we did our study, it certainly was not what they did, like I said, but we were particular with the times and the day that we chose with an officer who was out there intently just for this purpose and was distracted by nothing else. And of course, there was a few outliers, like Mike described, but there wasn't anything that we would describe as a chronic problem.
Well, thank you both for doing the level of detail. I didn't even realize it was he was clearly hidden because no one saw him, because that was the complaint, is they were not there. So thank you both for A, doing it, and B, explaining it.
I believe you guys been hanging out in French Creek a little bit more. And
A warning or a
Actually, the
appreciation?
neighbors said they see a lot more red and blue lights flashing than before. So they're
Well, that's
actually,
because it's fixed now. You can actually go. You're not going, poof, 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 poof.
yes.
It's ugly, but it's functional.
So they're enforcing it, which is good.
Better.
Yeah. See, you can't win, can you?
No.
But,
Well,
no,
thank you for
they've been doing great. We appreciate it. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Item C, the Parks Capital Improvement Plan.
All right, so I just want to address this with you. So at this point in time, what I have worked with Mark to prepare is really a draft spreadsheet of what we are working towards achieving a final kind of capital improvement plan and assessment of all of the things that we have in our parks. So this kind of was driven from when we were in the budget workshop and we were talking about, we want to budget so much money, what kind of priorities. And we really talked about how we don't really have a capital improvement plan. We really need to know everything that we have, the condition that it's in, what it might cost to fix, repair, replace, or add new equipment. And what I'm looking for now is really just to see what your thoughts are on this spreadsheet. Are there any data points, columns of information that might be missing? Did I miss any parks, anything like that? It's going to take probably another month or two for Mark and his team to really work on putting together the rest of this information. It's going to be, I think, difficult for everyone to really determine what you want to do with the capital budget item and what you want to spend the money on without having the full clear picture. So that's kind of what I'm looking at is are we going in the right direction with this spreadsheet? Is this going to provide you the information and data that you are looking for to really make an informed decision about how you want to spend the money in the budget for capital for parks?
Councilwoman Sutherland.
So I think so far, so good. There was a lot of information in there, which I definitely appreciate. It was my understanding, though, that sooner than later, we were going to have a working session to kind of talk through those things together to see what we could tackle first with the current budget. So I was wondering what happened with that.
It's just a matter of time. We only have so many resources and people being able to do the job. Fortunately, actually, this is maybe a good opportunity that we can introduce the new person that we hired to assist Mark, the DPW supervisor. We've got Rob Barrett here. He is a great addition to the team. He comes with a lot of experience, and having these people in place and being able to take some of the workload off of Mark so that he can work on getting the spreadsheet all completed. Like I said, it's something without the entire picture and all of our information, you can't really make a fully informed decision about what to do with the funding and priorities. I'd love to spend, nothing but time doing just this, but in reality, we can't. We still have water main breaks, we still have mowing, we still have employee issues and things that we need to deal with. And
I think the purpose of the working session was for council to be able to get together to talk about the parks and, even with the amount of information you have provided, just to kind of get a start of what our thoughts were. Please someone jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but that was my understanding and kind of our vision was to try to do that. I actually was thinking it was July. Obviously, that's not going to happen now, but to have a special meeting to talk about that.
Like a brainstorming.
Well, originally, it was supposed to be at the end of June, is we were going to do it, and unfortunately, we were going to do the interviews and the capital improvements. I 100% didn't want to do it because two of the finance subcommittee couldn't be here. So I think we should just, I agree, finish this and let's set a date, because that'll give them a target for a special workshop so that we can see if there's consensus on what should be first.
Right.
So realistically, though, you're saying another month to finish this? And be realistic, because you do have a lot on your plate, but welcome, 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 so.
I would maybe ask Mark when he could potentially have this at least completed enough.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you won't have all of the estimates or something, but
Right.
hopefully at least all of the inventory and condition.
Well, which is fair too, because, I mean, if you come back with a bunch of estimates and then, council's like, well, we didn't really want to do that, or we
Right.
weren't thinking
Right.
that we would do that anyway, right? Then it's potentially a
have
lot
you
of
wasting
work for
time.
nothing, right? So don't want to waste too much time getting into the details.
If you noticed on the spreadsheet, you got a lot of detail from the parks that I did. That's because I did those parks. So I have the invoices coming from the contractors that I'm able to cut and paste and put in and give you exactly what the asset is and how much it cost, right? And then once we get all that, then we'll work on a maintenance plan and a capital improvement plan for that. That being said, I'll give you an example of like the issues I'm having is McKinley Park. Okay, I just reached out to Fraser First today because Fraser First did majority of the work in that park. I don't have anything on any of the equipment that they have installed. So I don't have the invoices. I don't know the contractors.
I can help you with that because I write
But I'm
the
just
checks, so.
giving you an example though.
You need it to create the.
Exactly. I need that information to create what you're asking me to create. I don't have that.
I'll get that to you.
Stephens Park, right? Stephens Park, it's one of our larger parks, so you have a bunch of buildings, which, again, what I've done, I've put in there, right? But it takes time because I got to go back and I have to get with Carolyn, and we got to pull past invoices to find out what has been put into each one of these assets. So it's just a matter of putting it together, and collaborating that information. And then getting with Mike, once we got the list of the assets and saying, okay, and then each one of the parks had to be visited, which we've done that for the paths. We haven't done that for the parks as a whole, right? So then once you have your list of assets, then you got to realize, okay, we got to prioritize these things, right? Based on need and then based on what the city council is looking for. But first and foremost, it's going to have to be based on like need, safety wise, like if you got,
Right.
paths that, need to be replaced or seal coated or things of that nature. But the tennis courts, right? The tennis courts, that's one of the things that needs to be addressed soon. But
Do you think realistically, if we were to set a meeting, just to speed it up a little bit, if we were to set a meeting at the end of August, a special meeting, that you would have a more complete, at least like, and I'm not talking numbers, but 75 to 80% filled in picture so that we could then say, okay, like I know tennis courts are mandatory. Like I can't even believe how quickly they deteriorated, but then we can be like, okay, look it, based on the consensus of the seven of us, this is the direction, so then finish it, and then come September, then we're voting on, to start, so that it's an evolving process, right? So we're starting, but we're also,
Right, because what I perceived the vision to be was to have the pictures, maybe not have all of the details, but just be able to have even literal pictures to discuss what it looks like, what we were thinking about, because there's some parks, right, like Boris. Yes, that'll need to go on a maintenance plan, but not right now.
right.
So, but it's like other things like Stephens or, the tennis courts, right?
So
Those are things-
that's good to know, because I didn't know that you're more looking at, picture-wise.
Yeah. Big picture and literal pictures to just get together and brainstorm and talk about what that looks like, not every single solitary detail of what's going to need to be done and maintained.
Then yes, I
X
can-
amount of
yeah,
years.
like we want
Yes.
that globally.
We want that, but not by August.
Free.
Okay.
Perfect. Are you guys okay then at the end of August doing it?
24th, how about the 24th?
Jew. Asking you shall receive.
Love it.
Well, you got to do it.
No, I know, I love it.
Is that
Is that a Thursday or
That's a Thursday.
Thursday.
August 24th?
There's 5 of them
I'm
in
good with that.
August, so. August 24th.
I may or may not be able to make it. I'll be in trial.
Okay. You're not guilty, don't worry about it.
Don, do we need a motion for that, or?
No.
Can we just, okay, perfect.
Yeah, we don't need a motion.
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay,
Thank you.
What time?
6 o'clock.
Perfect.
I also wanted to point out, Rob Barrett comes to us from the city of Oak Park with 28 years' experience. He is, or was, the former director of director of municipal services.
Good.
So I'm very excited about him joining our team. He's got really big shoes to fill, but we're very excited about having him. He brings to the team a total different element than Melissa did, although we really miss Melissa.
Welcome.
Welcome to the party.
We're much better than Oak Park, so we believe.
Anybody else know Park that?
Yeah, right? Now we are. Our choice is good.
So, Mark, I did have like a question when it comes to that. Just because I've heard so many complaints about it, which I understand, but can we, in part of this, that's the only thing I would like an actual number for. So for Fort Fraser, can we get like an estimate of what it would be to replace the boards? So basically, keep the structure more or less the same, because everybody seems to enjoy the layout of the structure, but because that wood, so if we can get like the recycled milk carton, what are they called? Like the Trex, there we go. Trex decking, like what that would be to replace, because that's still.
We're just talking about the boards around the outer perimeter.
I'm talking about the boards that are rotting out, because eventually all of it will, because it's wood. I mean, I realize it's
Keep the
pre.
bones that you can keep, but then replace everything with Trex.
Yeah.
So
Not like immediately. I'm just saying like first and foremost, the areas that are very touchable, tactile, like where the kids are all the time, walking, running, touching, like the towers and stuff like that on the outside of them, those aren't that bad, but eventually those will need to be replaced as well. So,
Well, isn't it more economical to just get a quote to do the whole thing? Get a quote. I mean, I think it sounds like we're all in agreement. Let's figure out how much to redo Fort Fraser in Trex,
right.
Did it in sections.
even if you did it
Even
in
if you did
sections.
sections, yeah.
okay.
Like,
But keep the same footprint. So you're not reinventing it, right? Because everybody seems to like the layout. So, keeping it pretty much like the same layout and everything, but just again, replacing all that wood that is now deteriorating, rotting out, splintering with Trex. That seems to be the only, there might be another comparable thing out there that you're aware of. I just know about Trex, so.
No, I just don't know if that can be done or not.
and that's
Okay,
fair.
that's what we
I
just, if you
don't,
can
I
just find
really,
out.
and I'm just being honest with you, I don't think that's possible. You could replace quite a few boards with Trex, but to replace the whole thing with Trex, you're not going to be able to do that.
Oh, they don't make 2x10s.
That's what I'm, exactly.
So you'd have to keep the same bones or replace those with the.
Right, and that's the problem. A lot of the bones are the issue. It's not just the, you
Well,
know.
how about finding out how much it is to rehab it and bring it into the current terms and take it another 15 years forward?
You have to redo the whole thing.
Yes. I'll do whatever you guys want,
It's
but
like a deck at your house, right? You
Never say
keep
never.
the
There's gotta be
structure.
somebody who makes some sort of fabric.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That'll do something.
Yeah,
I mean,
because like my deck's 30 years old, and it's Trex. It was like when Trex first started, and I haven't had a problem. I just power wash it once a year, and I'm good to go.
It looks brand new.
Not brand new, but it looks good.
So, I have a call placed into Brian from Mid-States. He's on vacation until Monday, but I will be getting with him next week on Somerset as well as the wood chips. They're referred to as engineered fiber, but fancy wood chips for all the parks.
Yeah, so if you can just see if maybe he knows of something.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
I think the one report we do have, though, is they said just replace. Councilman Odell.
I think, going forward, obviously, we're going to have our special meeting, but I think replace it with Trex in different areas, it's going to look like French Creek for a park, you know, if you half new, half old, you're not really drawing out the life of the park. So I think we're gonna have to look at different options, because it might not be as cost economically as rebuilding a brand new one. Just food for thought, but I could see maybe the fencing around it if you want to try to get a little more life out of it, but repatching here, I think it's going to look terrible if we do that.
I agree 100%.
Okay.
Well, not repatching, but maybe.
No, but I mean, if you're replacing board, you got to redo it all, or it's just
You
not
gotta
going
make
to
it
look good.
harmonious where it all.
Exactly. It's gonna.
Well, it starts with a quote.
Right. But I mean, we get an idea, but I actually think it's going to be more economical to either replace it all or do something I'd like to see it in the theme of Fort Fraser, but something newer that'll last another 20, 25 years, not something that's going to last another 5 years before something else deteriorates. But quick question on the different parks that you did on, I think it was Blanky and Rendell for the walking paths. You had dollar amounts. Was that to replace, or was that what we paid for?
No, that's replacement cost.
Replace the existing trail or pathways in those
Yes.
parks. Okay, I just want to make sure I understood that's what the cost was for. Okay, that's the only questions I had for now. Thanks, Mark.
That was in Blanky and what?
Blanky and Rendell.
Thank you. Yep.
I think there was dollar amounts for the
I
paths
saw
to.
it, but
Yeah.
Right.
just so I can go back now and look at it and know what that is.
Any other comments, questions for?
Nope.
Okay, so we have a direction, you're on track, and we have a meeting set, and you have direction, Mark. Okay. Item D, excavator and trailer purchase. Mr. Ragsdale.
So part of the budget process for this year,
Flip it over, Mark. I think it's on the back page of what you just put over. Nope. Right there.
Picture.
oh, thank you.
Sided.
Oh, it's two-sided, all right. So part of the, huh?
Saving paper.
Oh, so part of the budget process, it is pretty much why I'm here this evening with this list of things to purchase. Part of the budget process, I budgeted to replace one of our older backhoes with a excavator. And as I spoke in the budget meeting, this will save us time and money. This particular piece of equipment is going to replace two pieces of equipment.
They have photos.
pictures.
I gave it to them all.
So the only downside to using an excavator is that you need a trailer to pull it around the city with, but that's listed on here as well as part of the package. But I'm very excited about this because it gives the operator 360 degrees of motion. There's a lot of times where they're pinned up against a tree, or maybe, there's a gas line in the way. It's going to make it much more safer for them to dig. It's going to offer them attachments, the hoe pack, which is a tamper, as well as the breaker. The breaker, the attachment, will take the place of this whole entire piece of equipment, which takes a separate operator to come in for a water main break when the water main is in the street. This has a quick connect on it. The guys can pick it up off the trailer, set it up, and the operator pushes a button. It uncouples the bucket and joins to the breaker. They're able to break the concrete right there. So in the long run, we're going to be saving money.
What's your intentions to do with these pieces of equipment? Or keep them and use them as needed, or?
No, I would like to list them both on a government bid site. I think it's BidNet or MyBid or something of that nature. There's quite a few of them. There's .gov bid. I mean, there's a few of them, but I want to list them both on one of the government bid sites, and then take that money and put it right back in the fund that it came out of.
There's no trade-in values or no trade-ins with this type of stuff?
So typically you have trade-ins on the same type of equipment. Unfortunately, there's two different pieces of equipment, right? Now, we might get some pretty decent money out of the breaker. That backhoe's not going to bring very much. It's wore out. That's one of the reasons why, and it's old. So yeah, I expect somebody that would purchase it might be a cemetery, you know.
Or even a private contractor doing cement work might even.
Yep, maybe.
Yeah, because I think you might be able to make some money on that one. Councilman Odell.
So this takes two workers down to one worker, right, to do the same job, correct?
Absolutely.
And less to haul around, so you don't have to take two trucks out to take two pieces of equipment to do the same job as this, correct?
Well, yes, but those two pieces of equipment you wouldn't haul, you would drive those, the ones that are being replaced.
Gotcha.
This one is going to be loaded on a trailer and you pull it with a dump truck.
Gotcha. All right, I'll make the motion to approve the excavator and trailer purchase as submitted for $215,000 and $215,789 and waive competitive bidding due to the sole source.
Second.
We have a motion and second.
Sorry, you may have gotten there, but I just.
That's almost got it. Any comments and questions on the motion from the audience? Any back to council, any comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. How about delivery status and timing? Mark, any ideas?
Absolutely. So I have really good connections with Alta Equipment, and they've been really good to us. That's another reason why we decided to go with Volvo, because the CAT would take us over a year to get. So they actually have the machine. They can have it outfitted. I told them if it passes tonight, I don't want it piecemealed. I want the machine and then the trailer, and then by mid-August, they can have the whole, everything to us. So we will have it for main break season.
Good. Not like any police cars, you can hardly get them, right?
Right, absolutely.
Hey, next item, stainless steel dump truck beds.
I supplied the city council with pictures of a couple of our dump trucks. A dump truck's almost $100,000. We have a couple trucks that only have 30,000 miles on them. The trucks, the bodies itself and the cabs, they look new. There's no reason to replace them. However, the beds are starting to rot out so bad that the salt is running out the side on the street. So we're actually losing the salt from the holes in the bed.
These aren't the newer ones we bought, are they?
No.
Okay.
No. No.
You got stainless.
Exactly. Yep. So the quote you have here is for $34,834. That's for two stainless steel dump beds to replace two of the rotted out beds that are on the truck.
Councilwoman Baranski.
I'd like to make a motion to waive competitive bidding process to utilize the My Deal contract and approve the purchase of 2 3 to 4 yard stainless steel dump beds from VersaLift in the amount of $34,834.
Second.
A motion and second. Comments and questions from the audience? Back to council. We see none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item F, DPW V-bolt and salters.
So this is another money saving idea here.
I know you're blowing your whole budget already.
And that's,
We're not even a month into this.
well, here's the thought process.
Okay.
You don't know in this day and age how long it's going to take to get things. So I wanted to get the jump on this, and especially winter coming up. So what we have is 3 bolt-in V salters. So basically they would sit in the bed of the dump truck, and there's a conveyor belt that pulls the salt down to the end of the spreader. What's great about this, a couple things. The salt isn't in the bed of the truck, and the spreader itself is centered in the middle of the truck. So our guys will be able to make one pass down the street and it'll fan out and they can hit the whole street, as opposed to it being off to the left. They have to make two passes and it's flinging it up into people's grass, and then it's burning up the grass, and then we're getting calls that, you know, in the springtime that we got to go and, you know, repair the grass from the salt. This is going to save us money and time, salt, it's wear and tear on our trucks, so.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of saving the salt, because we know there's a lot of salt laying in the roads for a long time.
Lots of chunks.
In addition to this, it's much more safer for the driver because they do not have to lift the bed to shift the load. When you have a dump truck load of salt, you have to shift it as the salt, the level comes down, you have to lift the bed up, back it up, hit the gas, hit the brakes, and let the load shift. No shifting the load. The conveyor belt does it all.
Councilwoman Sutherland.
All right, so I'll make a motion for the superintendent of public works and we'll waive the competitive bidding process and utilize the My Deal for contract ending in 0166. That had to be loud enough. You have to make two separate motions, so,
I'll support.
thank you. Okay, and then my second motion is to.
Wait, we gotta vote on it.
Oh, all right, go. What?
You don't have to make it 2, but you can.
It says right here.
I know, it's wrong.
Two.
It's preferred.
But not necessary.
Okay, so then continuation or second motion then, whichever you prefer, for the purchase of the 3 V-bolts in Salters from VersaLift.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions on the motion? Sir?
Didn't we already make a motion and add a second, and now we amended the motion to make it? Don?
As I heard it, there was one long motion that captures both issues in the agenda
There
statement.
was a pause in the middle.
And it-
Jumped right in even.
and jumping in with the motion and second, yes.
Yeah.
That's how I heard it. Record will reflect.
I don't care.
Sure. Got a question?
You have to come over here, though,
Come on up.
please, and state your name and address. Microphone.
The front?
Mark, hand it over.
Name and address.
My name is Saf Sheikh. I live at 31339 Eveningside Drive. I just had a quick question about this because right before this motion, you were talking about the dump truck beds and how you're losing salt through them. Well, this thing that we're talking about now, to me, it sounded redundant, and perhaps I'm not fully understanding what the thing is, because if you're replacing the dump truck beds and then you're removing the necessity of using the beds for the salt anyway, I'm just a little confused on the process there. So will the if the salt isn't being utilized in the dump truck beds anymore, then the loss of salt would be moot anyway, right? I'm not sure if I understood that correctly. I'm very sorry.
No, that's okay.
No, it's a great question, but the dump truck hauls a lot more than just salt, right? They haul rocks, they haul gravel, they haul sand, they haul topsoil, right? So if the beds are rotted out,
Yeah.
right, in the summertime, we're driving down the street, we're leaving a trail of topsoil, we're leaving a trail of sand, right? So that's the reason.
Okay. I have one more comment on that. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Was the stainless steel though picked for a particular reason, like material-wise for the dump truck bed? If it say if stainless steel is more effective at preventing if the salt is what's particularly degrading to the dump truck beds, let's say, if stainless steel was chosen to avert that, but then the salt won't be carried by that anyway. I guess I don't really know how to phrase this question, but is there a reason why that particular material was chosen?
Yes, because it's much more durable.
Stainless, stainless will last longer now than that truck will last on that. So you'll never have to replace that
Absolutely.
again.
Yeah, it's like the Trex, lasts forever.
We'll be buying new trucks and taking these stainless steel beds off if we can and put them on.
Thanks for the questions. We rarely get questions, so it's. Thank you much. Okay, so we do have a long motion and double seconded and whatever you want to call it, but any other questions? Back to council. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item G, lawnmower purchase. You sure you got any money left?
You're not getting any more.
Go ahead, Mark.
So this was unplanned incident. One of our lawnmowers that we have 360-inch X marks that we use to cut the parks with, in addition to the big Toro. One of the engines blew, and it's $5,000 to replace the engine. The mower has 1,200 hours on it. It's not worth putting a new engine on it. So for $11,000, I can get a 72-inch mower, which will increase production by 17% because it's an extra foot on the cutting path. So this request is to replace the 60-inch mower with a 72-inch mower. And we are going to look and see if we can find a used mower, a motor, and put it on ourselves and use it as a backup.
One question I do have is, it's always confused me for years, is sitting up here, past DPW directors, they always talk about this maintenance program we have. We buy these equipment, but yet we're always fixing them ourselves and paying for everything ourselves. This is not covered under any type of maintenance or fees or anything.
So, unfortunately, that lawnmower is 17 years old. So it's.
I know, but I'm just, again, it's not about this one.
Oh. So I'll give you an example.
What's going to be the new maintenance warranties? Because these are expensive plans we get into. And if you go through the bills, you always see, bills to fix them and stuff like that.
Yeah, so maintenance plans are all what you decide to purchase. Like when the excavator that I just bought, because we don't have mechanics, I'm going to purchase an extended maintenance plan. I've done that ever since I've been here on a large piece of equipment. But on a lawnmower, depending on what it is, we usually buy from Weingards and we take them there to have them serviced. So it just depends on the piece of equipment. Some of the pieces of equipment, it's not worth purchasing their maintenance program. On a lawnmower, in my opinion, it's not worth that. Because either small things we can fix, and when the things start to go bad, it's out of the warranty anyway. So to me, it's wasted money on a lawnmower. On a large piece of equipment like the loader, the street sweeper, absolutely. Factor truck, things of that nature, because we do not have in-house mechanics. So I'm going to purchase the best warranty that I can. On a lawnmower,
I agree. I just bring that up because we're, like I said, I've been here a long time. I hear all these plans and all this. It just never seems to be to our advantage, that's all. Let's see, Mayor Pro Tem.
Patrick first.
Kathy's not here.
Patrick.
Go ahead.
I was just going to make a motion to purchase the lawnmower, but I can't pull up my minute notes, so I can't see the.
This is another
amount.
double
Waive competitive bidding.
Waive the competitive bidding, yes. All the bells and whistles.
Councilman O'Dell.
Just real quickly, Jessica question. Bigger lawnmower, do we have the proper trailer to pull it around?
So I'm glad you asked that question. Believe me. Yeah,
So we're not coming next month we figured we got.
No, we have 2 trailers, and I sent Dwayne out. Dwayne is our he retired as our mechanic, and he came back, and so he's been working after retirement for like 9 years. So he's our go-to guy. I sent him out, and I had him measure the inside of the tailgates on both enclosed trailers, and we can go to 72 on one trailer.
Okay. And then, kind of going back to what the mayor was talking about, during the, I guess you would say, slower seasons like fall, stuff like that, where maybe the equipment that we use during the summer, when it's slow, do the guys clean it up, or, do general maintenance work, so when it's good to go in the spring or
Absolutely.
the next season, it's ready to go, and
Yep,
you can foresee any problems, and like.
They power
leaf
wash
blower,
them, sharpen the blades, change the oil, that kind of thing, and then we also send them out to wine guards to have them go through the engine after our guys have done that kind of stuff, and they go through the engines on them and get them. We usually do that during the winter because it's
Say slower times of the year,
slower
we're
time,
not getting
right.
a lot of snow, we're going out, let's make sure everything's in tip-top shape,
Yep, so we're ready to roll as soon as we're able to cut grass.
Okay.
Did we ever shop anywhere else besides wine guards? Because I know they're really high priced.
We do. I did, and in this particular case, they have the Sourcewell contract. So what you see is not what we get, right? Because this particular more is we're paying like 11.2, and it listed almost 16. So
Mayor Pro Tem Shurnack.
I just wanted to know, is this going to be a budget amendment?
as of right now, no, because there's more than enough money in the fund towards the end of the year. That could be a possibility.
Okay.
Because,
No, that's fair. I just wanted to know if it was for now. Okay.
It is 13 days into the new.
I know, that's why I'm asking.
So we know
and there's
he's going broke.
277,000 in the park fund for that. So
But you have 300 and.
60 something days.
Dream for our special meeting coming up.
Grass gots to get mowed though.
I know, agree.
Well, we have our motion and we have a second. Any comments and questions from the audience? Bring it back to council. Any comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item H, the fire hydrant purchases.
So I started a fire hydrant replacement program last year. We purchased 23 or 24 fire hydrants last year. This year we plan to purchase 30. These are East Jordan conversion hydrants, so they make the most sense because it's less disruption to the homeowners' yards and the area they're located in. We literally can spin the old ones out and spin a new one in. So we have a map AEW made for us. With my guys went out with the GIS and took all the data for all of our fire hydrants. We have 824 fire hydrants, and currently we have 132 of them that are the old style Detroit Fire Department hydrants that need to be replaced ASAP. So we're gnawing away at them 25, 30 a year.
And how many is this for? 30.
30. And you have 3 quotes. You would think that East Jordan would be the cheapest because they are the manufacturer, but unfortunately, Core and Main buy in such a large bulk that we'll get a better price from Core and Main than we would if we actually bought them from the manufacturer.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, they don't pass that discount on to the municipality.
But their name's still on it, we're getting it cheaper.
Missing a good opportunity.
Councilman Odell.
So this the ones we bought last year? Is it the same one we're buying from this time around, or is it a different? I mean, it's the same hydrant, though.
Same hydrant, but last year we bought them from East Jordan.
Okay, gotcha. So
And Core and Main was cheaper last year, but only by $200. And we went with East Jordan because I could get them then. And Core and Main, they were 4 or 5 months out before I could even get a hydrant.
So it's the same exact hydrant we bought last year in the round. It's just a little bit cheaper. Okay, with that, I will make a motion to approve the purchase of 30 new EG conversion fire hydrants from the lowest bidder of Core in Maine for the amount of $112,251.54.
Second.
Motion second. Any comments or questions from the audience? Back to council. Comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seems like a lot of money for fire hydrants, isn't it? Yeah, I know.
Grateful if you need it.
Thank God we're just doing a couple at, like, well,
Big hunk of metal.
in stages.
Item I, welcome to Fraser sign.
This is my last item for the night.
You think it is. You think it is.
So after the last city council meeting and several discussions with the city manager, we were able to find out that the city actually owns that little piece of property at the corner, the northwest corner of yes, Garfield and 14 Mile in front of CVS. This is a request to replace that sign with the monument-style signs that, like we have in front of the Baumgartner House. My request is to replace that and for city council to give me direction which, if they want to go with option 1 or option 2. If you wanted to say, welcome to downtown Fraser, or if you wanted to say, the city of Fraser welcomes you.
Well, it isn't much of a downtown.
Well,
But it's our downtown.
But
That's what it says now.
that's what it says now, so that's why I threw that in there. I personally like the city of Fraser welcomes you, but I mean, I'm looking for I'm looking for feedback from city council.
Honestly, I'm good with anything, so whatever you guys are feeling.
I have a question. Okay, at first I read your memo, and I think I read it wrong. All of the signs we've purchased and that approved and were fabricated have been installed.
No,
So we have a sign done that isn't installed yet.
no.
Well, those are the two options, or what am I
So,
missing? The
all-
mark math.
so all the signs have been installed except the ones the county would not let us.
Right, did we make those?
No.
Okay, so all the signs that we purchased that have been fabricated have been installed?
Yes.
Okay, so that was my first question.
All right, sorry.
No, that's good, because that's what I wanted to make sure. If we had a sign sitting around, let's not wait for the county, let's just do that, and we'll worry about the county later. So my second question is, the sign we approved, the design, which one was it? The Welcome to Fraser sign. I don't think it was.
The city of Fraser welcomes you.
Yeah.
And that would be in front of the Baumgartner House.
What design was it, 1 or 2? Or I guess, I'm sorry, font-wise. Was it the font that's in this packet with this?
Yeah, it's one of these
I think we
two.
used this more modern script.
It's the non-downtown one.
Right,
There's 3 pictures here. 2 of them say
Right.
welcome to downtown, and then there's one that doesn't, that's like.
Right, but our sign doesn't have this script.
Yeah, we don't, yeah. We would.
Like this, yes.
We all agreed that we want them to be all the same.
Yeah, right,
So-
there's my
Same
point.
font, same script.
Then
Like,
I
we
would
don't
say,
have this on our sign by the Baumgarten House, do we? This font?
No, we don't.
do you know?
Yeah, because I
Okay.
drive by it every single day.
That's what
Maybe,
struck me.
if you pass it, maybe make the motion to replace it with one
Consistent
that
with.
consistent with the
That's what I'm
Baumgartner
looking
House.
for.
Yes, consistent with.
That works.
Okay, works for me.
Whatever is at the Baumgarten House, which is a Welcome to Fraser sign.
The city of Fraser welcomes you.
I'll make a motion that we approve,
I got my light on.
oh, sorry, well, my light was on too.
Well, you can make a motion, sure.
I'll make a motion, then you can rip it apart. How about that? I'm going to make a motion that we approve if we have to waive competitive bidding, I don't know if we do, but.
This is an extension of it's just an extension of the contract that we have.
Extend the contract
Right.
to purchase a sign to go in front of our little piece of property there on Garfield and 14 Mile to be consistent with the City of Fraser welcomes you sign at the Baumgarten House.
Second.
A motion and second. Doug. Councilwoman Sutherland.
Not ripping anything apart. I was just going to say that I prefer the welcome to downtown Fraser, and the reason why is because once you get to that section of town, you've already been in Fraser for a minute. You're already welcome. So
You're halfway through.
yeah, you're halfway through.
You've made it
So
halfway
it should-
through.
yeah, so
Congratulations.
I just think to be consistent, it should say, it should
Could we,
be
could we
downtown.
put like don't blink on the bottom?
Yeah.
Well, and here's the deal. I don't disagree with you. I guess I thought everyone wanted welcome to Fraser. So could be, so
I'm fine with the change, I don't care.
I'd prefer downtown. I think just it's consistent with what's been there. And
okay, so I will revise my motion to make it a welcome to downtown Fraser with font consistent with the Baumgarten House sign.
And I will second that again.
Because I do 100% agree
You
with
want to put don't blink?
I really do.
I don't because I like that
it's
it's
super
small
cute.
and quaint.
I know,
and-
I just think it would be
Like,
funny as heck.
question I have, Mark, does that sign have a electricity to it?
No, it does not.
It does not.
Not that I'm aware of.
So we can't illuminate it.
could we do like some solar lights to shine up on it?
That's what I'm saying, maybe part of it later on and get a chance to consider what you can do, maybe just to light that one.
Okay.
Well, the Baumgartner house does have, we have lights.
There's floodlights on
Yeah, I
that
know.
one.
Well, it has, yeah, because it has two lights in the garden that point up at it. So-
If you could figure out a solution to
Yeah,
possibly.
that's not an expensive fix.
Yeah.
We can worry about that later. Let's just get the sign in. So they're all consistent.
I know, I said that.
I'm concurring with you,
Okay.
Mr. Carnegie.
So, we have a motion and
Mayor.
second. Any comments from the audience? Back to council? All in favor?
Aye,
Opposed?
Thank you.
thank you.
Wait, before you leave, I have a question for you.
Christmas in July.
Yeah.
I was going to say, see you next.
Don't come back at Christmas, though.
Santa granted you your wish list. Wait a minute, before you leave, though, I have a question for you, because you're
Go
going to
ahead.
leave. I just want to know, with regards to tree trimming,
Uh-huh.
are we going about and doing that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Where are we doing that?
Throughout the city?
Thank you. When do you think you might get to my neighborhood? Because if I get hit in the face one more time with a branch, I'm just not going to be pleased.
Oh, she saw it turn
What,
over
you're on, is it Wood?
Crestwood. But
Who?
Crestwood. But I'm just talking
Crestwood.
about in my neighborhood, in the other Venetian.
Bike.
Yeah. It's a normal sized bike. Anyway, but no, the trees are over, there are trees technically, and they're, coming over the sidewalk where you should be able to ride a bike, and I'm not that tall, and not get smacked in the head.
That's Venetian Woods, right?
Yeah, well, both. Well, because I ride it like over where
You only get to pick one.
Lumber Lane,
They're
it's
busy.
citywide.
Yeah, literally. Let's follow her around.
Citywide.
Her address says
I'll
what?
I'll just send you the addresses, Mark.
Okay.
I just want to make sure, because.
I have a question for you too, though. We got it from a resident, so I wanted to follow up. I don't know the name of the street, but I want to say, it's over in Fraser Meadow South. You did the mill work, and then you said the street sweeper was going to come out in a couple weeks because they were worried that they were now on a gravel street. Has the street sweeper gone out to clean it up?
Yes.
I went there the other day, so if you could send them again, because it's still pretty gravelly.
Morning.
Morning, yeah, I was gonna
Morning
say,
side, morning view,
Morning side.
Morning side.
If you could make a point, I rode my bike there this past weekend, and I wondered if it had come. So if you've already done it once, it would help to do it again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not my neighborhood.
The other one's not my neighborhood.
I'm teasing.
348 days you have left.
So you're good, Amy? Yeah. Okay.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Very much.
Run while you can. And welcome again
Yes, welcome.
to our crazy little town.
Item J, rate of pay for the election inspectors.
So you have before you a request from the clerk to raise the rate of pay. There is a table with the current rates of pay and proposed rates of pay and differences for the positions for election workers. At this point in time, looking for a motion to approve those rates of pay as proposed to be more competitive.
Mayor Pro Tem Shurnack, you're first.
I decline those rates, and I think we should be increasing them. And the reason for that is because, for all those who are watching, is not because we want to spend more money. It is several reasons. One, it's hard to find election workers. Number two, they are literally there all day. They get there from 6 to 9. Is that correct, Cindy? 6 to 9, typically? Yep, at least 9. They don't even make minimum wage, and they are volunteering their time. So I believe just for our,
Volunteering time.
Well, okay, you're right. In essence, kind of, sort of. I mean, they're like it. I believe that the regular precinct workers should be receiving at least $225 because we do need to be competitive with surrounding cities. And then, however, it goes up from there, like the co-chair. 25, whatever, however you had suggested. The increments are 25, right? So 25. I believe these people are important and necessary, so even though it's not even minimum wage, I think we should definitely increase their rate of pay because they're not getting paid anything for sitting there and dealing with those crazy machines all day.
Second.
Councilwoman Baranski.
Well, my question would be, is that extra amount in your existing budget? Because the amount you proposed was in your budget for this year. If we increased it even more, would that still be within your budget?
Some of it will still be, but I'm guessing we would go over a little bit.
Okay.
I'm okay with a little bit.
How much is a little bit?
One thing to keep in mind, we do a department-based budget, so looking at all the line items, it's not necessarily the pay just for the election inspectors. So if for some reason we don't go over and like say operating supplies for elections or something like that, it could help cover some
Offset.
of those.
So you could double side your copies and save some money.
Exactly. And no color,
Amen, no color.
only if
Amen.
necessary.
Can you give us just a projection, like what we're talking about over budget? Is it like, $100? Is it $1,000? Just so we have an idea. I mean, just so it's, or is it 20 grand?
Just a guess, maybe 1,000, 1,500.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Okay,
It's
fair.
nothing
That's
appreciable.
Got it.
Be a huge amount.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Just,
Yeah,
we just want to know.
Try to, like, we combine precincts for this election, so you need less workers. We are going to ask you to combine precincts for the November election to use less workers.
Perfect.
So, obviously the presidential primary, there will be no combining of precincts for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we do have that motion and we do have a second.
Can I just get clarification on those values? So you're looking at.
225 for the election worker,
That's an election inspector, the proposed was 175, you're proposing?
the 225, correct.
Okay.
And then,
And then 225 for the EPB worker?
yep, and then 250 for
And
the,
then 250 for the precinct co-chair, and then 275 for the precinct chair. Thank you.
yep.
Everyone was good with that. Any comments from the audience? Back to council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
While we're talking about it, just in case people are listening, what are you looking for election workers? Always a free chance to
Election workers
advertise.
need to be 18 years of old, 18 years of age.
Of old.
Registered voter, they can, as long as they're a registered voter anywhere in the state of Michigan. They need to be 18 years old, they need to be a registered voter, and they can live anywhere in the state of Michigan. It used to be that you could only work in the county that you lived in, but now you can go anywhere and work. So that is something we're finding to be why it's more competitive, because
They can
you
go
you
to
can go different
Romeo
places.
or Washington.
Yes,
Or Washington.
yep.
Or hell,
That's right.
So,
they could.
And then they don't have to work every election, they could pick and choose, or how does that work?
right, no, you don't have to work every election. We call you before every election and see if you're willing to work. It is a long day, and sometimes people are just not, and we do try to accommodate. A lot of our election workers are senior citizens, and so we have a couple that have asked us, because I presume February is going to be very busy. They said they would help us work, but just maybe like a 3-hour shift or something of that nature, which we would gladly take them, so they could eat lunch and that kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman Kolka.
Thank you. Thea, I do have a question. There's training that goes into
Yes.
this thing, and then don't you have to do you have to be certified before you do the training? In
So
other words, how's the process go for anybody who's looking at potentially doing that?
What happens is if you are in a city with over 10,000 voters, which we have about 12,000, the city clerk does your training. So I have to go to the state of Michigan, and they have a program called Train the Trainer, and it comes out about every other year. They have a new one, of course, with the new proposal. We'll be getting hit with a few of them, probably between now and the end of the year. But then we post our trainings. They are required to be trained once every 2 years. This election, I believe I have 4 new inspectors coming. They're all trained to work other places, but I'm going to have them trained so they do things in our system. And they get $25 per training. So, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. That was Jay. Item K, rate of paid temporary election staff.
All right, this is for the actual staff that are working in the office leading up to the election. We are looking for an increase in pay from $15 per hour to $18 per hour. This is typically just one person that works about 7 weeks leading up to the election. And as I mentioned, it's someone that works in the office about 20 hours a week.
That's like the one person when I come in and see they're worth ballots. Well, okay. So it's not a bunch of people.
Correct.
Councilwoman Sutherland.
What did we just increase the temporary DPW workers pay to? 20?
Correct.
An hour? And if we're going to increase, I would say probably make it consistent with that so that we have our temporary wages the same across the board. And I would suggest making it 20 instead of 18.
I agree.
Is that a motion?
I'll second that motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve setting the rate of pay at $20 per hour for temporary election staff.
That's a motion, right?
Yeah.
Second.
Where is?
She couldn't work at one point or work as much, so I knew someone through Chesterfield Township who was retired, and she agreed to come in and work. And this time have also know someone through Chesterfield, but she will not be available to me next year. She is an awesome worker. She is awesome.
Okay, I supported them.
On these type of employees, is there background checks or anything, or what's their process through there? Anything they have to go through? No. Okay. So we,
Tomorrow, her pay would go up to 20.
I would say yes.
I would say yes.
Ready to do a motion?
No, I was just looking for clarification.
This not.
okay, item I, request to purchase 2 public safety vehicles fiscal year 22-23.
So this request is kind of a layover, but it is a little bit more expensive, so it does require a budget amendment.
Yeah, it's a shame that Ford can't produce these things. If we talked about it earlier to Taos, and we knew it was going to be a little bit more, but
I think their production numbers are much lower. I don't think that they produce anywhere near the volume of vehicles that they do with.
This for the hopefully new Chevy Tahoes with the price quoted in the packet.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any comments and questions on the motion? Do you know what color you are going to be able to get, Sam, or?
Hoping to get black.
Get the black
I
ones.
spoke to the dealership this morning, and he's hoping that he has enough police package. Dodge Durangos are no longer being manufactured with Police Intercept, and Ford is just, they've oversold by a lot.
Well, Tahoe's one of the better ones. I wouldn't do a Dodge anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know what, they're bigger, I mean, then we've got to just re-outfit everything, so, you know, that's part of it. And so when we were trying to get these cars last year, late last fall, we were trying to stick with the, you know, lower costs and what we have and try to reuse.
Indicated that it would come from, I can't remember if we did the drug forfeiture or the gambling, and my assumption would be that it would be the same source of.
It was drug forfeiture.
Same GL.
Yeah, so that, just to maintain consistency with what we previously approved, that would be the funding source for this. So that was part and parcel of my motion.
Councilwoman Kolka.
Thank you. I just have a question about the budget amendment. So these two vehicles were from the budget that ended on the 30th of June of this year, the first two that we're talking about right now. So the budget amendment then is we're really going to be potentially, if the second request for the other two
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item M, request to purchase 2 public safety vehicles fiscal year 23-24.
And then this one is
Ditto.
same similar story, just looking to get a couple more, hopefully consistent color. But this one, because this is a new purchase instead of just a budget.
After the purchase of these 4 vehicles, approximately what's left in the gambling forfeiture fund, give or take a little bit? Or, I'm just wondering for future years, how much,
Purchase the vehicles as submitted. Second. Motion and second. Any comments from the audience? Back to council. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Fantastic, thank you so much.
But-
Thank you.
This is a spirit lifter for sure. I mean, there's a lot of things it's their office, so it's much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, great. Yes, absolutely. Take a Well, let's see, we're at item 9, city manager evaluation discussion. Pro Tem Chornay.
I would like to make a suggestion.
Sure.
I really liked the way that Mr. Denault organized the last way we reviewed. I thought that was very efficient and very fair, and I think it really allowed each one of us to voice our opinions, and then he puts it all into one nice little package that is much easier to, well, yeah, that too, and just go over. So I would want to make a motion that we ask Mr. Denault to go ahead and come up with an evaluation plan and submit it to all of us, and then we just have to have a date that we need to get it back to him, and then put it on the agenda next
Right.
month for, to go into closed door with,
So you basically have the plan done, right, Don, anyway?
yeah, he just has to tweak it.
So you just gotta tweet the dates and times and.
Right, the actual forms, unless anyone thought something last year should be shifted or adjusted, they're ready to go. I sent them all out to everybody this week. Really, it's just a timing question. I think we have a little more time in this schedule than we had last time we did this, a couple more days, not dramatic. So whatever you need from me.
So if we get
it
them
done.
into you by the 27th, or say by the end of the month, then it would be ready for the next meeting? Would that give you enough time at the end of the month?
Whatever you need, I'll get it done. I have to get it out. The only caveat, and I think I had a strange caveat last year too, I don't remember what it was. The only caveat I have is I have to have it out to you. I have to have it done by August, on the day of August 2nd, because I am going out of town for just a couple of days on August 3rd.
Yeah, but our meeting is not until June 8th.
August 10th. August 10th.
I'm like, I like that summer's just starting for you.
Yeah, right. We're halfway in.
Welcome to the party, Mike.
Me too. What'd you have for dinner, Mr.
That's what
Mayor?
retirement does to you. You didn't even know what day it is.
I literally.
That's not retirement, that's just overworking that for me.
So the short answer is whenever council gets them all back to me, I will, whatever the date is, have them
I
out
wanna
on
give
August
I wanna give council a
2nd.
date. I wanna
Why
give-
don't we say the 28th, and that way, in case someone forgets, he can follow up with us, and then we have that
by
weekend
the end of
caveat.
the month, yeah.
Yeah, 28th, and
You good with
then,
that, Don?
Yeah, that's fine. That gives me a weekend and Monday, Tuesday to turn it around and get it out. So if
Some
that
of
works
us.
for all of you. I think it gives all of you 2 or 3 weekends, which is nice too.
yeah.
You already sent them out?
I sent them out on Tuesday, just the sample forms, not for you to fill out, just in case anybody wanted to make changes to them. I sent
You're
them
gonna
out.
officially send them out tomorrow.
The official versions will go out tomorrow in Word and PDF, in case you prefer a Word document. I just sent them in PDF this time, so you could see them and refresh your memories as to what it looked like last year. I sent them out on Tuesday at 4 o'clock.
So if you want to send them out tomorrow, then that would be great, and we'll get them to you by the end of the month.
I think I have, let me just make sure I've got the dates covered. So we're going to say July 28th to get them here. I'm going to
Is that when they're
circulate
due, July 28th?
to me, yep. I will circulate on August 2 because I have to leave town on the 3rd.
Not allowed to.
Thank you. I'll let everybody know. And,
He'll be resigning as our council.
and then how we did it last year was, after I circulate the compilation to all of you, I give it a couple of days and I ask if any of you have anything that you see that's a miss. And then I will send it to Elaine so that she has it in advance of August 10th. I would probably this year send that out on that Monday, whatever that is.
7th.
7th, yes. So she would have a couple of days, whether it's Monday or Tuesday, she'd have a couple of days in advance to see the compiled version. So she's also ready for the meeting on the 10th.
Okay.
And then we'll set a closed door meeting up for that. Okay.
Then,
Let me
Yeah.
forget the agenda next month.
No. I would just ask, it would be very helpful if any type of goals or anything that you had for me were less subjective and a little bit more measurable.
That's fair.
I know.
That's easy.
That is fair.
Okay. Anything else, Kelsey? No. Okay. Thank you.
Oh,
Insurance.
You amended.
Yes. Item O, discussion of the property and liability insurance renewal. Ms. Levitt?
While I was on vacation, Nickel and Saf did drop off the quote, all of the information for us for our property and liability insurance. It's a little bit more than what I had originally projected based on his estimates. What we need to do at this point in time then is to approve the property and liability insurance for the amount of $646,481, which includes a budget amendment of $12,136.
Insane.
That is. The evil necessities. Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Shornack.
I will make a motion to approve the property and liability insurance renewal for the amount of $646,481 with a budget amendment of $12,136.
Second.
Councilwoman Colca.
Thank you, Mayor. So just for the residents, is this a competitive bid?
So the way that this works is that he bids out to all of the different insurance
He's
providers.
the agent and he tries to get
Correct.
other companies to, okay?
Yeah, yeah,
So this was the best one.
yes. And I know that you were looking for something other than Trident. Unfortunately, this still is Trident, and it would be a lot more money for someone else. So a lot of the problem is the claims that we have had and the predicament that we are in right now, which we are slowly digging out of the hole. So if you look at the proper, or premium and loss history for the last couple of years, I think you'll be happy to see that things are getting better.
Ooh, I see
Can they just stay
zeros.
that way, please?
Zero, zero, zero.
Keep it that way.
Yes, please let it stay that way.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions on the motion from the audience? Back to council. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now, report of city administration.
So I just have a couple things to update on. So the audit, we are all complete with providing all of the information to the auditor. They are just compiling and working on completing the draft report. I'm told that I should have that either tomorrow or very early next week, so that should be on our next agenda for your review. Let's see, the library update, I just wanted to let everyone know that, took a look at the library. It looks like they're moving a little bit slower, I think, than they anticipated. I know that they had hoped to have everything out of the building in 2 weeks. They're not quite there. They're kind of far from there. But they do have the majority of the materials out of the office space where we would need to be doing the work. There are still the desks there that need to be removed. I know that they're working on getting things set up in their temporary locations so that they can be open. I see that they have bookshelves and books in there. There's somebody working there, it seems like almost every day. We are still waiting on word from AAA about moving forward with the repairs. I did reach out to them again. They, I guess, are going to have someone out sometime this week to take another look at the building for their estimates. So I'm hoping within a week or so, we should have a clear detail of estimates from them and a green light to start the repairs. Other than that, that's all I have for today.
Yeah, I'm just surprised it's just taking so long just to even start a little construction. Are they still like fighting it because it's someone else, the driver did not have insurance?
They have not commented on that. The last thing that I heard, I believe it was sometime around the 19th, that they interviewed the driver. I never did hear anything back on that. And I don't necessarily know if I would hear anything back from them on that. But I am still waiting to get response from them and the green light to move forward.
Okay. Yeah, if we could stay on that, so we can,
Yeah, well, we're in a position now with the library moving out. that we aren't in a rush because they've obviously made other plans. They're going to be leasing this building for a year, so there really isn't a rush for us to get this done so that they can open back up in the existing location right now. An alternative would be that we could just move forward, get the repairs done on our own, and then we might potentially be in a position where we are short and we would have to cover any additional costs that AAA wouldn't cover.
It's just not using a building for long periods of time doesn't make it any better, that's all. It's not a good situation.
Yeah.
Okay, just keep us posted on it.
I have a comment I wanted to ask a couple questions about that. Okay. And you might have just mentioned this, and I apologize. I kind of spaced out a little bit, so I apologize. So what about making a claim with our insurance
So,
and having them sub-row against AAA and deal with all of that so we can get moving on this?
so same type scenario. We make a claim with them, we pay $100,000, they pay out $100,000, and they don't get $100,000 from AAA, then we have this claim potentially on the books. I think that's how that would work for anything extra. There's also the option that we could just, so that we don't raise our insurance liabilities anymore, we could pay for the costs out of pocket.
Do we have an estimate on what's going to cost?
It's about $100,000.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I get it, we're in a catch-22, but I'm just thinking in terms of, you nailed it when you said we're not in a hurry, so if we're not in a hurry, but if they've interviewed the driver, there's a good chance they're not paying, because I don't know what the deal is at this point, they should have been paying.
Yeah, so I keep contacting them and pushing them, so I'm hoping that we will get something. It's a good sign that someone's supposed to be coming back out to the site again to work on, I think, solidifying some numbers. There was some question about part of the masonry and estimates for that, so
Okay.
I think that they're working towards getting that number.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Questions for Elaine?
Well, not for Elaine, actually.
Well, okay.
For Don. If AAA doesn't pay, we can still go after the driver, correct?
We can go after AAA.
Yeah.
I'm just going to answer for you.
Yeah, right. I mean,
It's not done just because AAA says no.
that's right.
No, I understand that. That's what I'm saying. So
The question is, what's the least risk to the city? Front the money or make an insurance claim? Either one, or wait and see how it plays out.
Right.
And right now, since the library's still moving out, that allows us the luxury of not having to make a choice today. But I'm assuming the library will be moved out by the next meeting, and we'll probably have this on the agenda of how we want to proceed.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we're holding parties responsible, that's all. I really don't feel like the city should be, or the library should be eating the cost for
No.
this crap. So,
No, and I think it's gonna be more than $100,000.
Well, our estimate is 90,000. That's our people. That's what they said.
Let's see, report of mayor and city council. So that, you get to go first.
Me, okay. So one thing I just wanted to make some comments on was the road aesthetics versus functionality. I definitely feel for those of you who live in Fraser Meadows North. I'm very, very sorry about your checkerboard, and, I think that, we did what we had to do to make it functional. But I just want to make sure that the residents, I think that there's a lot of conversations in these meetings about that subdivision and roads in there. And I want them to understand that those aren't the only roads that we're thinking about and talking about in the city. Because, if you drove down Dana in front of Emerson, it's like a roller coaster. There are literal bumps in the road where you are doing this in your car. My subdivision, and it's Lodi, Cyril, and Schoolcraft, like when you're turning west onto Vernetta from Schoolcraft, it's literal dirt road. It's so worn down. So I just want to make sure that the residents know that all of the roads in the city are important to us, not just those in Fraser Meadows North. The second thing was, so I attended the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting on Tuesday. I have to say that our commission is doing a really great job at bringing ideas to the table. I do think that there's some opportunity to get some other things moving. I did email Elaine today with an event for the city. We do have the parade coming up, but I think Martez has been in his role for almost 3 months now. So I think that that might be something we want to talk about sooner than later also, is it sounds to me like he's really asking for exactly what we want done, which to me is, I don't understand that, because to me, he's the coordinator, and with his experience from YMCA, I would think his job is to coordinate events. And he's asked, well, what have you guys done in the past? Like, what are the events that you've had? I mean, I simply told him on Tuesday, you could go to the Fraser Parks and Recreation Facebook page, scroll back a couple of years, and see what we've done, but he's asking for like a plan of every event to be planned in the city, where he has more, and I said this to him on Tuesday, that he's got the latitude to create events also from scratch. He does not have to do what we've always done, and to me, that's the death of any organization, right? Do it the way that we've always done it. I think that we've made promises to the residents that when we closed recreation during COVID, that it was gonna come back like a phoenix rising from the ashes, and that all these great things were gonna happen. Nothing's happening. And a lot of his goals seem to be long-term, which is great, building these things long-term, but we also need some things now. And that's what I'm hearing from residents as well, is that there needs to be something, some activities. Number 3, so I had my first meeting today as the Fraser person at the East Point Roseville Chamber of Commerce meeting. That was kind of fun to meet the individuals from other cities. I don't have anything new to report, other than I went to my first meeting and it was pretty cool, and I'm glad to have volunteered to do that, because I think it'll be really helpful for us to be involved and have a voice. The Lions Club Carnival is coming up. Wristbands are on sale, so make sure that you do that. It's very exciting. It's a huge event for our city. And then last but not least, somebody left a cell phone right here, so. Okay. It's been bugging me the whole meeting.
Thank
I'm
you.
like,
I'm
someone's
so
gonna
sorry.
lose their
I didn't
phone.
notice.
It's okay.
All right.
And that's it. That's all
I'll
I've
look at
got.
it later.
Thank you.
Find out it's on record the whole time.
And I'm just like waiting for it to ring. I'm like,
Wouldn't be the first time.
Okay, a couple things. The first thing we have to talk about is the finance director. We, as a subcommittee, interviewed a number of candidates, and there are 2 candidates in the running that we believe would be worthy of interviewing. It's interesting because the longer the post has been, the better the caliber of the candidates has been. One of the candidates that we're recommending to bring back is actually the last one to apply. So it's my recommendation that we figure out whether we have them come. What's the will of council? Do we want to have another meeting where we do the interviews, or put it on for the next meeting? And the fundamental problem, not that we're going to have, so I'm pivoting for a second, we're going to have a special assessment industrial sub meeting on the 25th, and I don't know if they know that, they were here and they left. Okay, did you tell them?
I
Okay.
was talking to them, and I actually met with them yesterday.
Perfect. So obviously that meeting is very important to have that focus. That would be the only other time that would make sense between work schedules, kids, families, vacations. So what's the preference of council? Whether we piggyback on that or we do it at the next meeting?
I won't be able to be here on the 25th.
I got my light on. Got my light on.
Yeah, no, I'm just,
It's my time and I cede the floor to you.
I mean, I would prefer to get it done sooner than later,
Yeah.
knowing what could potentially happen in losing candidates. So I would say, even though
Could we do it maybe like at 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
And do the special meeting at 6:30 to create a buffer, or 5, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm with you, I really want to get it over with, but I really don't want.
It's not that I want to get it over with.
No.
I don't want to lose any.
Bingo, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
So if we did the interviews at 5:30 and the second part of the meeting at 6:30, that
I
would,
think that's the right cadence also.
me too. Yeah, oh, God,
You're
yeah.
talking piggyback
The industrial sub meeting, yep. So we have a special meeting
We
at
set it for
5:30.
6.
Or 6.
right?
We haven't issued the agenda yet.
Right, but we,
We could do it at 6:30.
About 6.
yeah.
So we can.
Because the businesses, that was their,
They wanted it earlier?
26 would, yeah.
Okay, so can we do interviews at 5? I can make that happen.
I can make that happen.
I might be a few minutes late, but I already know the candidates and I already
Perfect.
know.
It'd just be a separate, make it a separate meeting.
Two separate meetings on the same day.
Yep, one at 5 and one at 6. That makes it easy, then that takes care of that.
That's fine, because I don't want to piggyback on their
Okay.
meeting and say that, because then they'll think it's.
25th. And then will we make sure that we put on the website these 2 special meetings so that, and here, I know better than anyone, people will say like, you'll see post after post after post, and then the event happens, people are, I didn't know about it, and it's like, oh my gosh. But at least that way then, especially because the road millage for the residents is a concern, just as the road millage for, or the road bond for the businesses is a concern. And it would be great if both sides could see that every one of us and every one of them is bearing a heavy burden. But as Councilmember Sutherland said, the roads everywhere are horrible. And a lot of people would be grateful to have a functional repair versus dirt and gravel. And unfortunately, the best we can do is a functional repair without the bonds. But, so just to make sure that we are advertising that in every way that you can think of, the special meetings, so that, because information is power. And also in that vein, we have an election coming up, and the signatures, there's time, there's 4 council member seats and the mayor up for election this year. You have until July 25th to turn in signatures, and our clerk has packets available if anyone is interested in running. I think the requirements are you just have to be 18 years of age and a resident of Fraser for at least 2 years. And it's a great job, so I encourage everyone to run for it. You do get paid. It's something.
$3,600 a year.
Yeah, so it's something, but our city is better when our residents participate. So I encourage as many people as have any interest to reach out to me. I would be happy to share my experiences with you, and I feel that, like I said, I feel that the city is better when people participate. So I hope that people run for whatever reason, but really step up and participate. And then I just encourage everyone to vote. I think that the election for the road bond is before our next meeting, so. Yep, so I encourage everyone, yes or no, just vote. Thank you.
Suzanne?
Thank you. So I just have a couple things to dovetail on. I'll start with the bond, the road bond. Please go out and vote. It's August 8th. Am I right? It's August 8th. It's really important for the reasons that we have already mentioned. We need to replace our roads so we don't have to do these, functionality checkerboard type repairs. And get involved. I mean, I think that's really the sentiments here. Get involved. It seems like the stuff that we have going on in Fraser, you have the same 10 to 15 people that show up, but yet everybody's got a voice, and you'd rather put your complaints on Facebook. Just show up to a meeting and know what's going on. I mean, and get educated. It's very difficult to have a conversation with someone on Facebook about what's going on in the city, and then to walk around with your head in the sand. That's not my fault. It's nobody's fault up here. Get involved. Have some accountability for the comments that you make as it relates to your angst. At least you'll understand. And I don't agree with it either. I can't, the roads in my sub they look terrible, but at least you know how we got here. And you'll know that it's not personal. Just have some accountability. You live in this city. And every time we have these meetings, there's like 12 people in our audience. Come to the meetings. Stop complaining on Facebook about how terrible this city is. It's just, you're not doing yourself any favors with regard to your education. So please, we have 4 seats available, 1 mayor. I don't know if anybody up here is going to run again. I'm not, because I've had it. I put way too much time and effort into this city. And I'm not sorry for everything that I have done. I'm super, super proud of my fellow colleagues up here, even since I've been back, and the work that we did. This city was in total shambles before. No accountability. Kind of like some of our residents who just want to talk about how unhappy they are here. So I'm very proud of the work that we have done, but I think it's time for me to move on. Just to dovetail about a couple other things. If you recall back in 2020 when we shut down Parks and Rec, the reason that we shut down Parks and Rec is because we had multiple conversations with our director at the time about making sure that you're maximizing the value of the programs, and nothing was getting done. We asked repeatedly for lists of things that were going to be done, and things were not. So, that is the reason that Parks and Rec was ultimately shut down. I remember specifically that we had a list of things that was brought to us, and Member Council Baranski specifically said, "What have you actually done?" And guess what? These were just a list. Nothing got done. And this went on for about 3 meetings with regard to this. And at one point, I finally said, "I can't do your job for you. You have to do your job. I don't know what it is. This is why you're in that position." So the reason, and I want to make sure it's clear, because I've heard about us, stifling the Parks and Rec, and that's nonsense. That did not happen. That did not happen. We wanted to keep Parks and Rec open. But our director basically sat on her hands and didn't do anything during that period of time. She didn't, because we gave her many months to get it together. And we would reach out to our city manager at the time to get some accountability without any accountability. So yeah, ultimately we were wasting money because she kept getting paid while other people were being laid off. That's not right, and that's not fair to anybody, especially those people who were being laid off during COVID. So that is really the reason that Parks and Rec was shut down. Not because of any other reason, not because we tried to stifle anybody, but because we had a director during that time that did not want to utilize the money she had to make the programs that she knew brought in the money during that period of time work. So there was no reason to keep it going. The other thing that I would like to touch on is, and I'm really happy that you are our liaison for the Roseville East Point Chamber. But I want everyone to remember, back about 6 years ago, David Winowicki and I were the ones that joined it within the first 3 months of getting on council. And since then, we've had the Fraser Fame Awards. And so I'm really happy that we are now moving into that role of actually participating at the meetings. I think that's really great, and I'm super proud of that, and I am super proud of someday maybe it'll be, Roseville East Point Fraser Chamber of Commerce. So it's a great organization. Get involved in it. If you're not, if you have a business here in Fraser or in East Point or obviously Roseville. Yeah, and I think that's it. I've said my piece, and please dig deep. You think you can make a difference? You think you want to put yourself out there? Come on. Put yourself out there and see how easy it is, especially when you get thrown to the lions and the wolves and the whatever it is out there that people are Monday morning quarterbacks. So I look forward to this next election.
And all the nasty letters I get.
Those aren't all nasty, are they?
About the chamber, actually, I did talk to some people, how do we get Fraser on that? I wanted to do that, so.
You mean change the name?
Yeah.
We actually talked about it in the meeting today.
Good. So hopefully they're, I know there's some fees and monies and all that, but I talked to them.
David and I joined that.
Yeah.
We started it. Really? Yeah, we're the ones that joined when we got on. Did I not make that clear? I'm sorry. We are the ones that joined Fraser. Put Fraser into the, so anyway.
Yeah. So I tried to get our name on it, so.
So we talked about it today, and I actually recommended a timeline to do that, so.
Okay,
Awesome.
need my help, let me know. All right. Because I did talk to some people, and hopefully they're moving on.
Linda's great.
Yes, reiterating, please go out and vote on August 8th for the bond proposal. 49% of our roads are in poor condition, 43% are in fair. With that many poor roads, what little we get from the state barely can upkeep the poor roads we have. So nobody likes higher taxes. I don't like higher taxes. I can think of a million things to spend my money on rather than taxes, but we all use the roads. It's only can be used for roads and sidewalks, so it's not like the money can be taken and plug holes somewhere else down the road. It's gonna go for the roads. And we need to really get out of this infrastructure deficit that we have, or else it's just gonna cost more and more and less it's gonna get done. And the best we're gonna be able to do is the Band-Aids, and I'm sick of looking at the Band-Aids. So I hope you are too. I hope you'll support it. It will be money well spent. I think I could say for everybody up here, we are gonna, every contract, we're gonna maximize every dollar we can with grants and matching funds and things like that to turn that $15 million into hopefully 17, 18, 19 million or more by getting those funds and really stretching your dollars. So hopefully you will consider voting for that bond. But either way, go out and let your voice be heard. Parade's coming up next Sunday for at the last day of the fair. I believe there's probably some time to still, if you want to participate in the parade, to contact Parks and Rec and get signed up. It's a great time. Hopefully we'll have good weather. And again, the Fraser Lions Club is having their fair. Big Rock Amusement is where you get the discount tickets. You can only get them online, or the wristbands. So normally it's $30, it's $22, but you got to buy them on the website before the fair. So it's money well spent if you got kids that like to ride rides all day long, so as I do. Obviously, the beer tent. Well, if I can get my slim self on there, yes, I love to ride the rides. And music every night in the beer tent. If you haven't been there before, it's a great time. The carnival that comes in is one of the best run carnivals in the country. So they take great care of their equipment. Very safe, great reputation. And just encourage our citizens to come out, socialize with each other, meet your neighbors, and have a good time. We need more events like this in Fraser, and I hope soon we will have more and more types of activities that our community can enjoy. So, other than that, have a great week.
Thank you. Pro Tem.
Okay, I have a list for everybody. So get your pens out to mark your calendars. Okay, so the Baumgartner House will be having open house with a, I'm just going to call it a rummage sale, but they're going to have the barn sale, but they'll also have a tent. They'll also have the depot open on August the 6th from 9 to 4. They are still taking donations from 5:30 to 7 on Wednesdays. So if you clean out anything and you want to get rid of stuff, they will gladly take it. Also, that being said, the VFW is having a car show. It's their 11th annual car show. It is on September 2nd from 9 to 3 p.m. So they're going to have drinks and music and raffles available. They will also, I don't know when they're going to take donations, not yet, but they will also be taking donations because they are going to have basically a garage sale as well. They'll have rummage sale. There we go. So again, mark your calendar, September 2nd from 9 to 3 over at the VFW. That way, yep. Okay, they also, every Wednesday, the fourth Wednesday of the month, they are still having spaghetti dinners. So anybody who wants to participate in that, it is actually really good spaghetti. And I would recommend coming to that. They also every year have Camp Trotter. It is run by the Michigan VFW department. It is a wonderful organization. The kids from, the programs run from K to 8th grade, and then they have another program separate from that. But I'm sorry, not K to 8th. They start at 7. They can start going to camp at 7. It's a week-long camp. Everything's provided for them. If anybody wants to go on their own, it's $350. But the VFW does have scholarships available for those who may be having a difficult time affording something like that, but would like to send their kid. show, and then we have a couple more events coming up, so I will make sure that I'm announcing all the events that are coming up now for our VFW too, because they do give back to our community as well. And then the only thing I want to discuss really quick is with regards to taxes, because I know we've had lots of people commenting about taxes. Let me just say I am not part of this Facebook generation. I hear secondhand from other people about what's being posted on Facebook. Personally, I stay off of Facebook because I kind of feel like everybody wants to argue on Facebook, and you can't argue with somebody that you can't have an intelligent conversation with, and everybody can infer whatever they want to infer into what someone's saying, because their reality, that's the reality. But with that being said, as far as our tax bills go, everybody has to realize when they look at that tax bill, please keep in mind that part of that tax bill goes to the school bond, which people voted for. PA 33, you're actually paying less for that now, even though I know everybody was against it, because you are now paying more for the library. That was voted on by the people. You have to look at those taxes and see that we are paying stuff to the county. We are paying stuff to Detroit. Not all of it goes to Fraser. So as Councilperson Odell said, yes, we do get a certain amount that we allocate every year in our budget, because we did have this question from a resident. We get a certain amount that we do allocate towards the streets from our budget every year. But our infrastructure needs are so bad and so aging, there's no way our little bitty budget will keep up with that. That is, again, why the road bond. But don't think that we're not trying to spend your money wiser. I mean, I realize it looked like we gave away the farm today to the DPW, but those are things necessary, not to be funny, those are things necessary to continue doing things for the city when there's water main breaks, when, nobody wants the lawns long in the parks. When we have any other things going on, we need that equipment. Everybody still likes their streets plowed, right? Everybody still likes them salted. So we have to keep in mind, we have to provide our police officers with reliable cars. I mean, they have to be safe. They've got a very unsafe job most of the time, so we want to give them the best things that we can give them within our budget. But when people get angry because they're like, well, I'm paying this much in taxes, well, everything is a double-edged sword in life, truly. I mean, be grateful. Your home values have gone up. Everybody's happy about that. Now, the double-edged sword in that is that your taxes have gone up with them. Yes, is it unfortunate that those things are cyclic or combined and they go together? Absolutely. But in this life, here are your three certain things. You will live, you will die, and at some point you will pay taxes. It is an evil necessity. It is the reality in which we live. So everybody, please, when you're looking at your tax bills and being angry about them, realize what comes along with those tax bills. I mean, break them down, look at everything as the whole picture, and understand that a lot of what is in those tax bills was voted on. Not all, but a lot. With that being said, I want to just dovetail what Ms. Baranski said too, with regards to, we have a lot of boards that need representation. The three young men that are in our audience today, get involved if you can. We would love to have more people on our boards. We would like to have all sorts of generations on our boards. So retirees, if you're watching, we want you to. We want people who want to get involved in our community, because the only way you can ever have your voice really heard is by stepping up and trying to take in and get into a role and step up into a role where you can have a say-so. So I would encourage everybody to get involved in our community. It's easy to say all the things you don't like. It's really hard to step up and try to make change. So I would encourage everybody to find what it is their passion in our city, because we have lots of organizations, and donate your time. Donate your time, because the only way things get better is if everybody puts in a little bit of effort. So that being said, I look forward to seeing everybody. Oh, Fraser First is having a raffle. I know Ms. Lesage will talk about it, but you're not going to talk about the raffle? Fraser First is going to be, I believe I'm correct in this, correct me if I'm wrong, raffling off a Blackstone grill at the fair. So for all you guys and gals who like to grill, mine just got one, and he just wants to play at that thing all the time. So, selling 500 tickets. Oh, yep, they're only selling 500. There you go. See, you guys should have said this. You know.
Buttle. Through the Through the carnival, they'll be,
Do the carnival. Yeah, they're going to be at the carnival. And the VFW will be at the carnival as well. This. Yeah. A lot of our organizations will be there. So this is a great opportunity for people to find your passion and get involved. We have Fraser First, we have the VFW, we have the Goodfellows, we have the Lions Club. Do we have any other?
school groups.
Well, us, obviously, but we're not going to have a tent there. Oh, firefighter. Oh, yeah, the firefighters. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yep, the volunteer firefighters. We have a lot of great groups in Fraser. So again, find your passion, find what you feel like you can give your time to, and put your time out there.
Your 5 minutes is up.
Okay, good. I said I had a lot of stuff.
Really, I don't have too much. Hope to see everyone at the parade. Firefighters will be giving out candy like we do every year. We got lots of candy to pass out. At the parade or at the picnic, we'll be doing the lost and found again with the kids and first aid. So pass it around that if anyone gets lost, and just find the fire tent and we'll take care of that. Get lost kids every year. It's so sad.
Mine was one of them a couple years back.
Sometimes you lose adults too if they've been in the beer tent too long.
Everybody
Not
go,
because of that.
go out and have a really go out and have a really good time and play safe, and hope to see everybody out there. So, citizen participation. Anybody in the audience? Your hand was first.
Thank you for your patience.
Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. Jeff Fiore, here in regards to 33060 Grossbeck, AKA Dairy Queen. First of all, great speeches. I was a 20-year resident here. I moved out about 5 years ago. I've heard a lot of speeches like that. Sorry, couldn't participate, couldn't pay me enough. I feel for you guys. It's just going to be another council that I see changing a face again, just like I do in the building department, the director, the inspectors, the code enforcement guys. I've seen a lot of good guys come and go. It was my time to get out of Fraser. I just didn't like what I seen. I didn't like what I seen for my kids. I didn't want to be a part of it. I am here for the Dairy Queen. I have a lawsuit from the City of Fraser suing me. You guys spent a lot of money today, But the taxpayers don't know how much you're actually spending just in legal to chase me to do something with the Dairy Queen. I get it. It's an eyesore. It's ugly. There's a lot of ugly properties in the City of Fraser. Ugly's not illegal. I have no code violations. I've never been to court, never taken a ticket. I have documented meetings with Mr. Logan in the city. Do I have any violations? No, Jeff. Every time I have an issue with you, I call you 24 to 48 hours, it's handled. No weeds, no broken glass, no breaking and enterings, nobody harmed, no issues. It's ugly. One time, I've owned that property for 10 years. I bought that as an investment. When I bought that as an investment, I had ideas to develop it. Parking was always an issue. I listed it through a real estate agent. Had 2 people interested, wanted to do a pawn shop. Came to the city. City didn't want a pawn shop. There's not one up the road. I had the real estate agent bring another gentleman. He wanted to do cell phone repairs. No, we don't want cell phones. That's too much like pawn and jewelry and everything else. We don't want that. Just north of that property, and the property just north of me, there's now a cell phone repair guy. Take it off the market. I sit on it for a while. City calls me, paint it, I paint it. Fix the roof, I fix the roof. People calling me, they're stealing the roof. Well, where's the police force? They're stealing the roof. People dumping things in the parking lot, I'm cleaning it, I'm sweeping it, I'm killing the weeds. I'm trying to do what I can up there. The building is not ideal for anybody. City comes up to me and says they're gonna start a lawsuit against me. So I pay my attorney, we're chasing this lawsuit. Peeing in the wind at this point right now. I come to the city, what would you like me to do? Do you want me to put a roof on it? Do you want me to paint it? What do you want me to do? Well, what are your intentions? I'm like, what do you want me to do to keep the city happy so there's no lawsuits? I'll do whatever it is. The taxes are paid. There's no code violations. I've never taken a ticket. I've never had any issues over there. What do you want me to do? Well, just do something. I go, okay, well, I run a couple ideas. Well, just because you do that, that's not stating that we're going to stop the lawsuit. Okay? Ticker's still going with the city attorney. Ticker's still going with my attorney. Come to the building department. This has been going on for over a year. I don't think taxpayers know how much they're paying for city attorney to chase me on the Dairy Queen. It's ridiculous, ridiculous. I come to the city, I talk to Mr. Logan, he says, I can't talk to you about this. Can't talk to you about it. You gotta talk to the code enforcement guy. Talk to the code guy, we meet out at the site. I said, I'll just list the property. I list the property through Jeff Glover. Cigar guy comes in. meet with the city, Bob Logan, the assessor, meet with everybody, and the new owner, or that wanted to propose his cigar shop up there, he has questions about parking. City's like, well, you gotta draw 2, 3 different plans, we can approve some for parking. I go, I'm approved for 5 spots. I went through the zoning board, I got 5 spots up here. They didn't acknowledge that, they told the guy, well, you gotta draw all these plans. My architect draws 3 different plans, we bring them to the city. Which one do you guys want? None of them are ideal. None of them are ideal. You gotta bend the rules a little bit. Well, then you gotta go to the zoning. I go, I have 5 spots approved for zoning, but this guy doesn't wanna build 2 stories. Mine was for 2 stories. He goes, 1 story. These are the 3 drawings. They wouldn't approve them. That guy got scared away from the city. That's third sale got pushed away.
You have 1 minute left.
Okay. So that got pushed away. You gotta go in front of zoning. I paid almost $3,000 to go in front of zoning. I spend $3,000, I go in front of the zoning board, I'm sitting there. They said, well, we can't resolve it here, you gotta make a special meeting to meet with Mr. Logan. I go, well, that's the guy who said he couldn't talk to me. I come back, talk to Mr. Logan. The next couple days, I was calling and calling. 3, 4 days later, I get in there. They said, well, we can't really make a decision, or we can't tell you what to do or what not to do. I go, but I gotta keep getting sued, but I can't get an answer from anybody on what, somebody's gotta tell the city attorney, hey, we're done. We want to see a roof. We want to see paint. We want to see something. Nobody's willing to give me an answer to what I could do to resolve this, to make the city happy. So I'm just guessing. It's like a witch hunt. What do you want me to do to stop this? Because it's getting out of control. Because I'm set for trial. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to settle. I'm going to go to trial, and I'm going to demand all my fees back. Because I can't get an answer from zoning. I can't get an answer from building. I can't get an answer from city attorney. I can't get an answer from nobody what they want to see done there. I have no violation.
Your time is up, sir.
Been to a lot of city meetings, I've never been timed out seeing this. This is another reason. 5 years I've been happily in Clinton Township. Can anybody give me an answer?
Appreciate your time.
Pardon me?
Appreciate your time, and if you can't get an answer, maybe we can get one for you.
I would love to get some type of direction to resolve this. I've been
Oh,
trying.
we would too, I'm sure.
I've been trying. I went to planning, wasted my money. I told them I'll pull a permit for the roof. They said that might not be enough. Why would I put $10,000 in a roof if that's not enough? Why would I put my money before hearing that, yes, we'll be happy then? I can't do that. That's a poor decision. Nobody up here would do that. Nobody.
Yep,
So,
understand.
and so you guys approved 600-something thousand in insurance with one person? Insurance agents are the cards. That's crazy. I can't believe you guys are still doing this.
Anybody else?
Hello again. I'm Saf Sheikh. I live at 31339 Eveningside Drive. I've come here to talk today about the library. I actually work there as a page right now. Now, earlier you were talking about not really wanting to put a rush on things on the old building, which is completely understandable given that the circumstances that are going on right now of how we're moving everything out and whatnot. But it seems like when it comes to working on the old building, there have always been numerous delays on things getting done there, and it's kind of troublesome in the thought that one day we could be moving back there and facing pretty much all of the same troubles as setting aside the day we left, where, I mean, the truck going through, that's something completely unexpected on everybody's part. But we were facing numerous issues in the building, and a lot of them, from what I hear, were for a very long time, with nothing really being done. And we aren't the landlords of the building, as I'm sure you are all well aware. And so we couldn't really do a whole lot. I mean, to deal with a leaking issue that had been going on for months, with several calls for anything to be done about it, we stuck a dehumidifier in a closed room, and we just replaced it every day, and that was our solution for a mold growing from a leaking, the roof leaking or the ceiling leaking. It's a little bit frustrating given that I've had my fair share of landlords in the past, and I will say it seems to be a recurring thing that when something needs to get done, it gets pushed off until the very, very last minute. And so I was wondering, I guess, when we do move in, or I guess if we move back into the old building, or depending on how we move forward from here, would we be moving into a building that actually is functioning to its, perhaps not its fullest potential, but a lot of the issues that were addressed even prior to the truck incident being dealt with, because it has been, again, like, you're talking about a building that is storing a bunch of paper, everywhere, paper everywhere. And so mold is kind of like a no-no in that situation. And I kind of wanted to get a grasp on how you guys see this playing out after this 1-year lease and working with the library forward from that point, because it seems like every solution that has been kind of pitched externally has been at the deficit of the library in numerous areas. So I was wondering if there's just any kind of inkling on, or I guess like long-term planning on how exactly you see both your relationship with the library progressing and the location and functionality of the library moving forward, because it does seem like there has been not a whole lot of urgency on behalf of the city, especially since we were working inside the damaged building for weeks before even any insurance was contacted. So that's really all I have to say about the issue.
Well, I'll just respond, and council, normally doesn't respond to open sessions, but my understanding is your board, the interpretation I have is they want it out of it. They decided not to purchase the building from us. They want it out of it, so it, and even the last meeting they were here, they made it pretty apparent that they may consider coming back. So it's not up to us what they do. You gotta go back to your board and find out what they want to do.
Well, the thing about the building sale, how much time do I have?
About a minute and a half.
Minute and a half, thank you. The thing about the building sale is that they've been hesitant to purchase a building that we don't really have an assessment of how much work needs to get done, and all the work that we have wanted to get done on it for very vital issues like the mold issue were never really dealt with.
That's why you went for the millage. That's why they went for a millage. They got a millage, and that's why we would sell it to you for $1. I don't understand.
From what I understand about that deal, though, is that if the Fraser Library were to move out of
No,
that
wait a
building
minute.
one day, that the land would go back to the city, correct? It wouldn't actually be owned by the library, as in if we were to sell the building, we wouldn't actually get the money for that building. So we would be forced to pay all of the damages that were already there when the city owned the building and not really get anything out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not going to get all the details because obviously we try to just relay the information to the board. Eileen is the main contact, the city manager for the library at this point.
Okay, so just my last question then is the issues that we had put forth before with the leaky ceiling and stuff, when the building is getting fixed, will those simultaneously be addressed as well, or will those be left alone?
I don't know, I haven't seen all the work scope on the building at this point.
Okay, would it be okay if I came back at a later date to get an update on that?
Get a hold of the city manager or even your board, even have them contact if they have certain questions. We're trying to
Time is up.
follow a chain of command where information and communication is proper.
Okay, I just
Many
want to
people
get as much
talk-
information on the issue as I can.
Yeah, you and your board should just send Ms. Levin some questions, you have them.
Okay.
Of that, and you'll get the best response and a detailed response. And if you don't get answers, then let me know or let a council person know. We'll look into it for you.
Okay, sounds good. And sorry, could I just get the name of who to contact one more time?
Ms.
Ms.
Levin,
Levin,
right there, Elaine.
All right, thank you so much.
absolutely, thank you.
Mayor, actually, didn't we also say that Lorena from the library would be the point of
Yes, that's
contact?
what I said, this board.
Library communications to Elaine, Elaine, city communications to Lorena.
Yep.
You should communicate through Lorena to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. Oh,
All right. I'm George. I live at 18331 Breezeway. I've lived in Fraser for 2 years now. I work as a real estate agent and also as a senior organizer and canvas manager for our future Action Fund Michigan. I'm just here as a resident right now. I know we're working on a meeting. We've met with a couple clerks about proposal 2 implementation. And I'm just curious as a resident. I know you said you normally don't respond to questions during public comment, but I think it's a pretty simple one. I was just wondering about plans for early voting, those 9 days of early voting. If we're planning on working with Macomb County and just doing the voting through the county sites, or if we're going to have our own site in the city.
May I answer?
Absolutely.
So at this point, I'm planning on keeping all of the precincts in-house here.
Okay.
And we are, tentatively, our plan would be to be open the 2 weekends from 8 to 4 each of the weekend days, 2 Saturdays, 2 Sundays, and then the week between from 12 noon until 8 p.m.
Right. And then my only other question would be, I know they wrote the law to exclude the Monday before the election.
Yes.
And I talked to a couple other clerks, and they're like, well, why did they do that? Because that's the best day when people are going to vote last minute. I was wondering if you would have preferred to have, you know.
My feeling is there's a lot of things that you have to get ready the last day.
Right.
You're on a time crunch at 4 o'clock, you have to shut off AV voting, you have to load your computers that you're going to use the next day, so
So you like the.
I don't care one way or
Okay.
the other. We have.
You see the reasoning.
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
I do.
Right. I was just curious. And, you know, the other clerks, you know, I think they're focused on, you know, Warren and Troy, these bigger cities with
Yes.
hundreds of thousands of people. But I thought, you know, I've been here 2 years now. I'd ask my own clerk. So
Sure.
thank you for your answer.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Have a good evening.
Want to run for city council?
I'll sign your petition.
Either one of you.
I'm kind of helping out some people in Warren right now.
Ah.
Their politics are.
And can I like legally work on the council and work at the library? Because I think that.
Yeah.
The library, yes, not for the city.
Yeah, not for the city.
The library is completely separate.
Well, then maybe. Yeah.
We got till the 25th? Get the signatures.
How many do you need here?
50.
Wait. Remember, we're 4 by 4. We're 2 by 2. We're 4.
We're tiny. There's only 14,600 and.
There's only 14,000, but
Unless you're
sometimes
walking.
there's 2.2 million, it seems like.
If you're walking this city, it's way bigger.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you both for coming in.
Okay, guys, take care. A motion to go into closed session.
Well, I don't know. Anybody else? Okay. Just double checking.
You need a roll call
That's
vote?
what I said.
I apologize, Mr. Mayor. Did you make the motion? And who supported? Okay, thank you so much. Councilmember Bransky?
Yes.
Mayor Carnegie?
Yes.
Councilmember Kulka?
Yes.
Councilmember Odell?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Shornick? Councilmember Sutherland? Closed session at what time? 9:20.
Motion carries.
He was asking.
I was asking a question.
You're allowed to multitask.
All right, let's go.
No, that's an attempt at multitasking.
Second? All in favor, favor.
Hello.
All in favor. Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is closed.
Okay, turn it off now.
Good night, everybody.